Hey, everybody.
What's going on, world?
How y'all doing? I'm talking to them, not you.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, you freeze me every time you do that.
Because it's not about you.
I mean, it's always about me.
Anyway.
Be great.
This is your girl, Dani.
And this is your guy, TJ.
And this is another episode of Lovers Quarrel. Welcome, as always. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in.
If this is your first time, we appreciate you checking us out. And if you're a lover,
a repeat listener, thanks for joining us again.
A repeat lover.
That doesn't even make any type of sense.
I mean, I just like it better.
Okay. And exciting news, you guys. We are on Spotify. So if you're listening to us on Spotify, that's really exciting. Now. We just got the okay this week.
But we're still regular.
Yes, very.
Like really regular.
Super. So as always, you ready to kick this off?
We are. I am.
Going down.
Well, before you do that, though, we got some guests.
We do have some guests. Going back up. Sorry.
Golly.
We do have some guests. We have Antonio and Brian, who is the Lovers Quarrel first gay couple.
Yes, it is.
How everybody doing?
Hello.
Yes. Welcome. And like always, we're going to do, that was our little informal introduction. We'll do a more formal one after we get through elevator talk. And with that being said.
Go ahead. There you go.
Going down. Y'all, it has been a really shitty week in America.
It has.
And
it really has.
I am truly bummed out. And this is we're going to tie this whole thing up in a bow at the end of the episode too, but I'm talking Supreme Court decision on the travel ban. 5-4, yeah. Justice Kennedy is retiring. So now there's a potential for Trump to get another Supreme Court justice nominee. And then you got Antoine Rose, the 17-year-old who was shot in the back by a cop, unarmed.
Well, there's a positive to that one.
He was convicted.
He was charged. I do know.
Yeah, homicide, so.
But it's just been a really, really hard week for anybody who has a sense of humanity. If you've got like a moral compass, this week was a rough one.
I mean, since you're already down, we could throw triple X in there. XXX
Tentacion.
And
that's unfortunate.
Justice for Junior. You could put that in there too.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week. Those are going to be kind of what I'm going to be on the elevator talk about. I just wanted to put it in there because
it's kind of all runs together.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. And what's more scary to me is how sometimes how I can feel like almost a sense of like being desensitized to it. Like
100%.
When I heard about Antoine Rose, it broke my heart, but like there's a numbness that comes to it.
It's like another one.
Right.
And I'm like, here we go again.
Never shoot him.
Yeah. And like I read the other day about how he had actually written a poem when he was in 10th grade about not wanting his mother to bury him, like being killed by police. And
I was watching something and they were saying like, I think it was like Snoop was saying like, you can't talk about those things because then you put it into the existence. So with that, he was saying that when he wrote the song "Murder Was the Case That They Gave Me," he didn't have a murder case, but as soon as he like finished it and was out there, then he had a murder case. He talked about how Biggie, life after death,
ready to die.
And then he died. So he was just saying, like, you shouldn't speak about that stuff because then it's going to wind up happening.
Yeah, definitely watch the tongue. You got to watch the tongue.
Yeah.
It's a powerful thing.
It is. And I just don't know, like, what else to do. I mean, I'll say this. My one little, like, we'll go up one floor on this elevator talk, which is the primaries just happened in several states. And if you didn't know about her, in New York's 14th congressional district, I think her name's
Alex. Didn't take no money or anything.
Yeah, no PACs. Her name's Alexandria. I think Ocasio-Cortez, and she's 28, so she's, I think, younger than all of us.
Yeah. She's the same age as me.
Sorry, is that 1990?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we got a 90s babies in our midst. Ugh, nah. But she 28 years old. Mothers from Puerto Rico, fathers from the Bronx, was bartending and taking, doing whatever odd jobs, educated, this and the other, and ran for Congress. She was an organizer for Bernie Sanders, but she like ran for Congress against Joe Crowley, who was
like a 10-time.
like he's been in office since like 99.
Wow.
Like and hasn't had a opponent since like 04. And
didn't want to run again.
Yeah, and she ran against him, and like he's been like basically was expected to like succeed Nancy Pelosi, like be the next speaker, not Speaker of the House. Is it Speaker of the House? No, not that.
You asking the wrong person.
I know. Basically, though, he's like a very like high level Democrat in politics, and she took him out. Like,
I know that's right.
Yeah, and she's like, you're supposed to be of the people. You live in Virginia, like. And you represent New York, and it goes to show that like us millennials that they try to cast out and and throw shade at all the time. Like, we can make a difference. We can do it without having all this other money behind us. And I was watching stuff about how hard it is to get on the ballot in New York, to even be considered to be voted for. And she did it with no help from anybody besides like the grassroots organizers.
Right.
And like, I think one thing that she said that really stuck out to me was basically like when she found out she won, she was saying that this is like proof that having a moral compass can get you where you need to be in 2018, because at this point I feel like it's just down to right and wrong. Like, it's not even about politics. It's like it's just right and wrong. Like, are you a decent human being or are you a horrible person? So we can end on a little bit of a high note.
A little up.
Yeah. Go ahead, babe.
No, I mean it's definitely a positive, and that's a positive, especially in the Trump administration, which you hate when I talk about.
I do.
But she probably wouldn't have ran if Trump didn't win.
She may not have.
I mean, as bad as he is.
So you're saying that she, like, in the midst of the craziness that he brings,
positivity
still comes out in a way?
It can. Yeah. I think it opens up people's eyes. Like George Bush.
Definitely.
People kind of,
look how many more
voted
African
out.
Americans are voting now.
Absolutely.
That weren't
but this kind of makes it like, oh shit, like
it's real.
Like we don't got no time to waste.
And it gives people hope.
Yeah.
If Donald Trump could be your president, then shit.
They say he want to run. So
let's not entertain that one right now.
Yeah. Cancel.
Can it get any worse? Can it get any worse?
Don't say that. You talk about the power of the tongue. Yes, it can.
Okay, you're right.
It has gotten worse.
For those who don't know, Justice for Junior, that was about 15-year-old kid who was mistaken for somebody else
by a Dominican,
who released a sex tape of one of these Dominican gangs relative. So the video shows. The video I originally seen was the kid running into the store. They pull him out, and then you see people whacking at him. It didn't even look real. Like when I first saw it, I was like, "What is this?"
Are they
like,
punching them? And then I realized
and I kept watching. I'm like, "Oh shit!" So that happened, and then it became like crazy. Like,
nobody helped.
It's the baby.
I want to know if those two CNRs are being prosecuted. They were in the video, walked right past.
Oh, I didn't even know.
And didn't stop, didn't help or anything.
And that's what I was saying. Every day, I feel like we learn more and more. So I think it happened Thursday or Friday, and then it little by little. So the gang members apologized to the family. Like, that's crazy.
Right. The leader of the gang, he apologized to the mom, because it was a mistaken identity. And I'm like, that's just crazy in itself.
And so that happened. And then
that's okay.
I lose my child to an accident because you a mistaken identity.
Yeah. And I think too, it's just like, and I'm not saying that it's like, I can get wanting to rough up somebody who exposes your female relative, but killing somebody off of that?
Right. I mean,
a 15-year-old at that, that's grown adults to this child.
There's no more rules in the game. And that's something I kind of talk about. I'm going to get back to Junior, but back in the days, there used to be rules,
Right.
If the good kid was outside, the gangbangers, the gangsters would be like, get your ass in the house.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to be here. Whereas now it's like, oh, you want to be out here? Come on. Like, you know what I mean? And
it was respect for the game back in the day, they wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of people knew the gang members,
girls, or
children. Yeah,
but they wouldn't sell the kids back then, or older people now. It don't matter.
There's no rules, and I think that's a major thing. And social media is just the devil.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
it's a gift and a curse. Yeah,
that's what I
think it's the devil.
I think it's a gift.
But then people pull out their phone to record before they pull out their phone to help with the call out situation.
And then to kind of talk about the other thing, when Triple X passed away,
everybody knew.
People were recording. They were recording him dead inside of his vehicle. And it always, every time we have this, and we've talked about different people dying and video recording, it reminds me of the movie Untraceable. Is that the name of it?
Yeah, it is.
And it's like, it came out like 2014.
No, it was like earlier than like 08.
Maybe, whatever. But in the movie, basically, the main story is that there's a killer who's stealing people, and he's like streaming their deaths. So the more people that watch, the faster they die.
Yeah. Oh wow, okay. And they try to get people not to watch.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't trying not to get people to watch, but basically, I think the movie was trying to say that this is where we're going. Yeah. We're going
that morbid curiosity.
More people are watching.
That's true though. I mean, look at it. Like even boxing now, that wasn't good enough. That's why we got UFC. More brutal, more.
Shoot, people like on them street fights and stuff like that. Like, I mean, it's in our nature to a certain part to like want to look, like that's why people slow down to look at car accidents, because it's that curiosity, because you don't want to look, but then you do want to look because it's something that you don't see on the regular. Right. But it's like, how do you? But there was a time where, like, if you saw it, you were horrified. So you'd be like, let me help. Let me call for help. But we've seen this. That goes back to that desensitization. Like, we're just so numb to stuff.
But I also feel like that becomes because of social media. Back in the day, we didn't have, access to see everything that they drop of a dime.
People dying and so on and so forth. That was just like maybe about 6 months ago, we had a big outbreak, or what we thought was a big outbreak in DC of missing girls. And and it was a big thing about there's drug trafficking and women trafficking and the little girls and so on and so forth. However, based on the numbers, when we talked to the police and whatnot, the numbers were consistent for the last 20 years. It just so happened to be because of social media, they found a list of 20 girls who were currently missing, posting on social media. You got celebrities reposting and saying, we got to find these girls. But lo and behold, it's been the same consistent number for the last 20 years. Not that it isn't a problem, but it just shows you how an impact of social media can
people take stuff and run with it. Right.
The reason why I say it's the devil is because we've become so I can't think of the word. So like, we need our phone. We need our phone for everything.
Like addicted.
Absolutely.
Like, of course. You lose your phone, you don't know numbers, you don't know your life. There's nothing you can do without your phone.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think that's like the major thing. Like, that's why I say it's the devil. You lose friendships. Like, I'm not gonna go chill with you because I can play with you. I can play with you online.
Right. Yeah.
I throw my headset and we're talking. So now we're chilling. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Facebook and AIM, I can talk to you there. Like, it's just, we've become so relying on our technology, social media. It's people who get their news from social media.
Yeah,
there's people who don't get newspapers. They may check a CNN or New York or like a website, but most of the time they're looking at their phone. What this? And there's so many like fake articles that come out. People repost it and be like, see, and that baffles me. But with the Junior situation, it comes out. A new video came out. I think it was today or yesterday, and it showed like him running into the store, jumping behind the counter, and the owner taking him out, like, come get him. And I'm like, that is great.
And that's why they protesting and have that bodega closed down.
Supposedly it's closed.
Me neither.
Supposedly it is closed. But I feel like he should be charged as well. Like, you're
not an accessory. Like, you knew.
You served him up on a platter. Like, he's a child. And, like, there's no way that I'm standing there and, like, I see, like, I don't know how many people have, but, like, when you see a look of, like, pure terror on somebody's face, like, you just... I mean, my thing is this, is like, am I going to be scared myself? I'm not going to want to go up against 5 gang members. No. But if he's hiding there, am I going to be like, come get him? I'm just going to be like, you know, I might freeze my damn self because I don't know what to do. But I'm not going to actively be like, here he is, like this and the other.
But
like,
if you watch the video, like he like pushes his hand to be like, take him, like get him out of here, and then they show it, and that
I saw them dragging him out the store, like
yeah. So that fucked me up.
Yeah, and it's such a thing too. Like, and like we've had other episodes with other guests, and they talk about like the things that they've been through. Like I'm thinking about like the domestic violence one, and you know, I always kind of come back to this. Is like now, especially that I'm a mother, it's like it intensifies my feelings with stuff like this so much because I'm like, that's somebody's baby, that's somebody's child. And like the stuff with like the immigration at the border, like them separating the family. Let me tell you, when I've been having this conversation with everybody in passing because it's important. I feel like it's important to talk about it. When I tell you, Tatum is 14 months old, and you're talking about you taking 14 months olds from their mothers or their fathers at the border when they come over here seeking asylum, seek help. Everybody has to die. Everybody. I'm sorry. Like, it's just like that part, like, it gets me so worked up because I'm like, I would, like, my last dime, my last breath, my last everything will go to keeping her safe and keeping her with me. So you're going to tell me that these people, like, being a parent don't change nothing no matter where you are in the world. When you have a child or when you have somebody that you love, like, you're not trying to be broken up for them. But we digress.
But I think for me, that's why I fear having, like, a son. Because being a black male, I know how hard it is.
There's definitely lessons you have to teach.
Yeah, you know, you got to teach different lessons, and you know, you gotta teach them. You gotta teach them restraint. You know what I mean? Like, I was always bigger as a kid, and Antonio is humongous. So
can relate.
So you know, when I was in school, if a kid hit me and I hit them back, I get in trouble because I'm the bigger kid and I was supposed to not hit back. When my parents told me to fight back, and you know, that was cool at that time. But now I got to think about it. Like, do I tell my child to fight back?
Right.
Do I tell my child, like, if I have a son, do I tell them that it's okay to protect yourself? Because what happens? They're fighting after school and all the cops see is this big black male,
absolutely
aggressive, winning.
Yep.
That's a target.
You know what I mean? That's scary. It's scary to think that, you know, if I buy my child a car and it's a nice car and he's driving in a nice neighborhood, he may get pulled over. Like, and that's stuff that you really have to think about. And, you know, you want to say the world is fair and loving and all the other stuff, but it's not for a black male. For a black male, this shit is scary. This shit is hard. This shit is so hard to be a black male because
even the black males are doing the right thing. You still get scared. You still, you know,
they don't care about that.
Yeah.
They just see a big black male. That's it.
That's it.
You know, and that stuff you gotta think about. Like, if I'm driving my car and I got my hoodie on, I'm like, maybe I should take it off. Like, and I shouldn't even have to think about that. But it's shit like that you gotta think about.
It's our reality.
Something that's so minor.
Yeah. So seeing that though, I mean, fucked me up. But I did like how the Bronx community kind of came together. That was the first time in a long time I've seen a community like come together. Like, you know, the fact that it was boycotting the deli, the fact that they put the candles, visuals, people have been visiting them, people have been visiting his mother. You know, that's the first time in a long time I've seen that
type
community.
of outpouring of
camaraderie.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, it's tough, and you know, it's a cautionary tale that, you know, I feel like people should also tell their children, tell their nephews, tell any young man, like, be careful, you know. And even though Junior wasn't the one who recorded, it comes back. People are recording everything they're doing and they're posting stuff. Watch what you're doing. Period. Because, again, Junior died based off of somebody else's mistake because we use our phone all the time, so fuck it. We're going to record and this shit is funny. And thinking of a 15-year-old, it probably would have been funny. It would probably been like, you know what I mean, my guy's hitting her and she's letting me record or whatever. Cool, we're laughing and joking. But you don't think about those consequences.
You don't think they can go that
how far they go.
You don't think about the next step. And again, they're kids, so they don't They're not mature enough to think about it.
Antonio and I know they don't think.
But
indeed.
But this is stuff that we need to start having conversations with kids to let them know. This is the shit that you got to be careful of. Like, and I appreciate my parents for kind of teaching me things, raising me a certain way, asking the questions that they ask. Right. Who house are you going to?
Yep.
Who's their parents? Shit. And, you know, Absolutely. As a kid, it may seem like a lot, but looking back at it, it was like, you cared about my safety.
It was real. It was real. They said, when you'll thank me later. When you get older, you'll thank me later. And I think about a lot of those times.
Understand why I'm doing it now.
Exactly. Right. You're like, it's just my friend. And they be like, my dad used to be like, I need an address.
Who at your front house?
I need to know who's going to be there. And my mother would be like, is her mother there? Is her father there?
Where do they live?
Exactly. Where they live? What's their last name? Like, that's...
my mother would go and... come to your living room. I have to see the beginning of your house before my child is staying here.
Exactly.
Like, so, you know, I again, it's a sad situation, but I hope that people can take positives out of everything to be able to enlighten. So,
well, that was like our elevator talk / CNN news break / you know, come to Jesus moment, because it has been a rough one for us. But moving right along, it's now time for our relationship tip of the week.
Okay. And
this one is something that I was talking to a friend about, and then also kind of it came up. I remember. Don't ask me where I heard it on TV, but you know what? It wasn't on TV. It was on Facebook. Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith. Oh, yeah. I love those. So
I haven't watched it.
This is, you should. They're good. So it's kind of like a hybrid of some things I was hearing. And the tip of the week is pursue your own individual passions. And this is my version of it. What fills you as a person will make you more of your partner's cup of tea. Does that make sense? Kind of. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So basically, when you get into relationships, sometimes in the beginning it's like, you know, y'all stuck like glue to each other. I want to do what you want to do. You want to do what I want to do. And then we're going to be together. As long as we're together, it's all fun and whatever. But then as you kind of move along, you came to the table as individuals, and you have individual passions, individual pursuits, interests, whatever. And sometimes people forget or leave them by the wayside when they get into a relationship, because either my partner doesn't like what I do, or they're not interested, or whatever. But it takes away from you, because I think we have to focus sometimes on being the best version of ourselves, so that way we can be the best partner to our significant other. And, you know, and that's why I'm saying, like, what fills you or what makes you whole as a person, that, like, you give off that vibe, you give off that, like, I'm happy, I'm content, I'm in a good place. And when you're in a good place, then that means that you can be, like, again, the best version of yourself for your partner. So then that fulfills them, and it feels like they feel cared for. They feel like they're with somebody who isn't relying on them to fill the holes. If that makes sense. And so, and if anything, it makes for interesting conversation, because, you know, I'm not one for, I'm aware of sports. I will watch a game or two, you know, like, I'm not totally clueless. I can tell you who's, like, for the most part,
like, you know, if you're watching basketball,
I know if I'm watching basketball. I know if I'm watching football. I know if I'm watching baseball. I can name some key players. I know the positions.
Sound like some shade over there.
No, I just had to make sure, you know.
And so I know all that, but that's his bag. That's TJ's thing. So, like,
and I know I gotta watch Golden Girls.
Or Steven Universe. Because those are the things that make me happy. Or I like, you know, to talk about, you know, like, honestly, like, school teaching is such a interesting day every day. Like, talking about the stuff with my kids is what makes me happy too, even if it's me complaining about them. But that fills me and makes me feel some type of way. So then that way, like, he can, you know, be interested in what I have to say, because my stories, when I come home and I talk about my crazy kids and what they've done, they're funny to him. But then I like hearing him talk sports talk with somebody else, because I just like seeing him be excited about something else, if that makes sense. So
I get it.
I'm excited about Tatum.
Similar dynamic.
Well, yeah, we both get excited about Tatum. So that's what I'm saying. Like, she's,
you mean separate?
She's
stuff.
Our joint passion, and then but like our individual passions, because they make you better for your partner.
Makes sense.
So continue to pursue them.
I gotta find my passions.
I like that one.
Thank you. You gotta, that's the thing. You gotta.
That's what I said. I gotta find my passions. I'm not passionate about much.
You could be a little bit more passionate about things. You're passionate about Tatum. You're passionate about Alpha. You're passionate about sports.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
you're passionate about the show.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's nothing negative. I'm just saying, like, hearing you say it is like. It's like a wake up. Like, I gotta be more passionate. I need to find more passions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pursue, and that's the thing. And the good thing is, like, have a partner be with a person who will encourage you if you don't know what it is to kind of seek that stuff out, because, it's a lot easier to drink from a half full cup than an empty one. Like, I keep going back to that, but it's like, it really makes sense. Like, we are like vessels. So when we're full, we overflow, our cup runneth over, all that stuff. There's more of us to go around, and we don't feel so depleted. But with that being said, that was our relationship tip of the week, and we're going to take a brief break and hear from our sponsor. So you guys know that I recently cut my hair this year, and I am on my natural hair journey. And whenever you're on that type of journey, you know that you have to do all types of trial and error, figuring out what hair products work for you, which ones don't, which ones are going to have your curls popping. And what I want y'all to know is that Kitchen Chronicles Hair Care has the tools I need to tame my mane, okay? They have the souffle, they have the oil. I've even put it in Tatum's hair from time to time to help her curls keep it popping. So if you want to get on this little journey with me and with Tatum, you're going to go on Instagram and you're going to follow Kitchen Chronicles Hair Care. That's with a K in Chronicles. Or you're going to go to Kitchen Chronicles with a K, haircare.com. And you're going to start buying these products. And as always, we're never going to leave you hanging. You're going to put in the code LOVERS10. That's right, LOVERS 10. And you're going to get 10% off your first purchase. So again, show another black business some love. Get your hair done and looking right. And go follow Kitchen Chronicles Hair Care on Instagram, or go to kitchenchronicleshaircare.com. And with that, let's get back to the show.
And welcome back.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone. And now to the important part of the show.
Yes, we've got guests.
So originally, this was going to be a solo interview.
But
I reached out to my guy. Said, listen, I need you on my show. And he said, I'm there. Just like that. He said, I'm there.
Easy.
And then he came with his partner. And I was like, hey, are you going to join too? He was kind of shy at first.
But now...
And I was like, listen, let's do it.
So we have Antonio and Brian.
Hello.
Hey, world.
Our first Lovers Quarrel gay couple.
Yes.
We are so thankful and grateful for y'all to be here.
And this is
We're
perfect.
honored.
For Pride Month.
Thank you for
yes,
having us.
closing out Pride Month.
So,
yes, because it's almost over. I'm a little sad.
And for the people who don't know, Antonio, you may remember him. Former 5-star recruit.
Oh my God, you're going back. Digging in the crates.
The number 5 offensive lineman in the nation. Like the whole nation. The whole world, Craig.
More importantly, he bust your ass on the court.
He definitely did.
He
definitely did. We ain't gonna do that.
And Verdict call.
Hit me with a few elbows.
5.0.
Yeah, exactly. 5.0. That means... when they 5.0, that means he was like knocking people out. This is basketball, not football.
I mean, y'all guys were kind of equally yoked as far on the court, so I'm sure y'all went head to head.
We definitely had our
battles.
I seen some of them because when I used to have to sit on the sidelines and act like I cared, I watched.
So thank you guys for coming in and blessing our show.
We really appreciate it. So. I mean, I know we did like a little brief introduction, but we always want to start off by having our guests tell our listeners a little bit more about yourselves. So whoever would like to start, you can talk about where you're from, what you do, what you like, whatever kind of comes to mind.
Well, I'll go first. I'm Antonio. I'm from the Washington, D.C., PG County, DMV, good old area. Mm-hmm. I met TJ and Dani both in Taos University College. I went to Princeton University first and then transferred and finished up to get my degree at Taos University. And like most smart people, I went into the education system like Dani and found me some lovely middle school kids, fell in love with them, and called it a day. Been doing that for the last 5 years. Now, love my kids and trying to move on to high school, give me a football team hopefully, and
that would be
get
dope.
Back that way. Absolutely,
that would be dope. Brian.
Well, I'm Brian. I guess I crashed the interview,
but you're more than welcome to join the party.
Thanks for having me. I'm Antonio's partner. We've been together for 4.5 years now. I'm from Washington, D.C. It's my first time meeting you guys. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you too.
And thanks for just having me. Thanks for making me feel welcome and comfortable.
Of course. That's all what this show is about. We described you as our first gay couple in here, and so, but we know that with the LGBTQI community, there are lots. That's an umbrella term that
What's the Q and I?
Queer and intersex.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
So, that's a really big umbrella term.
Absolutely.
So, just for clarity, we want to make sure what under the umbrella do you all both identify as?
I identify as gay.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And do you have friends, relatives, acquaintances that do fall under those other letters?
Yeah.
Pretty much all of them. They cover all the bases are covered. Okay, cool. And because we had the questions a little bit aligned towards Antonio, but these are going to be ones that you can answer to Brian, so be ready. So we started to go back and do our little bit of research, and I reread the Washington Post article from 2014, and it talked about
shout out to Washington Post.
Yes, it was a very good. It was a very good write up.
It was.
And it said that you knew you were gay since you're about your freshman year of high school. Mm-hmm. How did that realization, or that, I guess, maybe coming to terms with it with yourself, how did that affect Antonio, the high schooler? And to put you on deck, Brian, when did you realize that you were gay, and how did that, especially in that adolescence, because that's a hard time, period. So, how did you kind of come to terms with it as well?
For me, high school was a fear kind of a time, because I kind of came to grasp with myself that I wasn't straight. At that time, I was borderline identifying as bisexual and gay, trying to find myself, so to speak. And I think even to this day, the only thing that I quote unquote say that I'm scared of is fear of the unknown. And so that's what, drove me in a sense to stay in the closet, so to speak, for so long, was fear of losing my friends, fear of disappointing families, fear of being looked at as different, feared of being bullied. It was just, everything was built on amounts of fear. And it wasn't until college that I truly felt comfortable. Shout out to Claude. He was one of my close
I remember Claude
in college, and just seeing him be him. And everybody love him and fly to him and float to him and just want to be around Claude, and him being the life of the party. I was like, wow, I can actually be myself. It was the first time that I actually had someone so close that was so, I don't want to say so gay.
But open.
Right, because we all know Claude. We heard him a lot of times before we saw him, but he's such a loving, individual and whatnot. It wasn't until then I kind of started getting comfortable and, letting it be known and so on and so forth. But high school was tough.
I can only imagine. But Brian, how about you?
Mine was actually the opposite. Yes. I'm the middle child, so I have an older brother and a younger brother. So I knew earlier on at a younger age I was gay. But because you have older brother that's into sports, you have a younger brother who looks up to the older brother that's into sports. So I suppressed a lot of my emotions. I didn't really. It wasn't until I got into high school where I got comfortable and I met a friend that was like me, and they helped me become myself and get comfortable with myself. And once I came out to my mother at that point. I didn't care.
It's like, hey, it's just like my mama's good.
Yep.
That's it.
It doesn't matter. I want to be myself, and I just never looked back at that point.
Yeah. True. So how was since again relationship podcast, how was dating in high school? Because for you, since you were more open and upfront with your sexuality.
And then for Antonio, because
you were suppressing it more.
More of an adventure, though.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah,
it's a positive outlook.
I mean, dating in high school when you're gay is not really
existent.
Not really. It's like you probably have like certain conversations, but like you're trying to find yourself, the other person is trying to find themselves, and depending on if they are comfortable with themselves, if they're even out, you can't even really have dates or really much. So it's mostly phone conversations at that point. Or
I think this generation now, though, is a lot
faster
than what we were.
I can specifically attest to, like, I've had students that have been out in middle school and have had, like, and I will say to the dating point, it's, teachers, educators, we're hip to what's going on even if everybody else isn't. And so, like, there were definitely some dalliances that, like, we peeped, that we were like, everybody else don't seem to know about this, but there's something going on right there. Right. So, like, that part we've kind of, we've seen. But you said, I do agree, like, it's been a lot. And what's so interesting too is, like, I mean, my school's really small, but when I think back on that particular student, and now granted he was taller and a little bit bigger than a lot of his classmates, and, like, he could still fight. So that, if people did try, like, somebody transferred in and they tried to press him, and he, basically, he held his own. But honestly, in general, like, never once did I really hear any, like, active, like, homophobic slurs or anything, like, thrown at him or against him by, like, really anybody. Like, or if they try, I mean, and don't get me wrong, like, there's still the homophobia in the language that's used when because they already know, like, I hate faggy, I hate all of that stuff. Like, they know I will flip out on them if they say that in my presence. And but it was never directed to him. It was just kind of like there's this, like, prevailing language that they use because of where they grew up, but, like, it was never, like, directed towards just that particular student because he happened to be gay. So, not to take your spiel, but I agree with you. Like, it's definitely different.
And then even with me and him, without pillow talk and getting to know each other, we have had completely opposite reactions to being gay, if that makes any sense. Like, for me, maybe because it's the role that I play in a relationship, or the role that I appear to play in the relationship,
or you're huge,
or that I'm 6'6", 300 pounds. That might, play a role too, though. But I've dealt with racism, and I've never dealt with sexualism in a sense, or I've never
gay bashing.
Yeah, I've never experienced gay bashing directly to my face. Whereas though I've had friends around me who have been spit at, who've been called faggies on the train, and so on and so forth. And it's weird because, like, I feel for them and whatnot. I just can't relate because I haven't directly had that experience.
Your physicality. So like, people are going to be hard pressed to try and say something reckless to you because you're going to, like, kick their ass.
And see, that's the difference. I've had to deal with that. But because I have an older brother, you can't run back to your brother, so you got to fight. Right. You got to fight. Make sure,
So, I mean, and I think that sometimes it's unfortunate, but it's like sometimes people they're going to learn the hard way. Like, you can't talk crazy to everybody and then not, or, like, think you're going to put your hands on somebody. Like, gay does not automatically equate to weak. I don't know where you guys get.
I'm still a man.
Exactly. let's get, I still, testosterone flows through the veins. Like, you want to take up the next one, love?
Yeah. So for Brian, did you attempt to date girls at all, or?
Of course, because like it was just always a fear of not being accepted. I knew early on that I didn't like the same things my brothers liked, but I knew because I was Yeah, so it wasn't right. So I always felt like it wasn't right. So of course I would play a role for my family, my mother, my brothers, but I didn't want a girlfriend, clearly.
Yeah.
Well, I actually had, dated girls all the way up until, I guess, my freshman year at college. Once I transferred to Towson, no, that's not true either.
You weren't there your freshman year.
No, I wasn't.
You came your sophomore.
Yeah, I came my sophomore year to Towson. But, I flirted with still dating girls and having my fun with girls. But then deep down inside knowing that it wasn't, what it was. It was fun for whatever the adventure that we had, and whatnot. But it wasn't what I was looking for a long time, or what was going to be actually fulfilling to me. So, after a while, I just, was like, all right, yeah, that was fun and whatnot. But let me carry on to what real life is for me, in a sense.
Yeah. One thing for you, like, you played a sport that can be rampant with homophobia, and you were, and not just like, oh, I like to play football, I like to watch it. Like, you were like the guy, you know what I mean? Right. Like, you had, like, there was oh my God, this guy. So, what did that? How was that experience for you to have to kind of like ride, like, kind of like those parallels, like knowing inside that you're gay, and then but playing in a sport where being gay isn't accepted, right. Even just because especially because it's equated with, like, there's a level of weakness or femininity to it, right. And that's such a masculine sport.
So a lot of what I did to get through was just suppressing, suppressing emotions, suppressing feelings, to get through the next day. And I think that's what made me stay in the closet so much was because, like, trying to avoid the awkwardness of knowing, just to be open and honest, we're in a locker room, everybody, we're showering, and, one thing, oh, he's looking at me and whatnot. Even my gay friends used to ask me, like, okay, and now it's all said and done and whatnot, did you ever used to look at guys in the locker room? I'm like, no, like, when I had my football players, that was my family. Just like you guys can relate, fraternity and sorority. Like you probably have showered or saw your, whatever, through your process of,
too many of them naked.
You know what I mean? But you're not like, oh my gosh, look at my sister. Like that was my brother. Like, we're fighting on the football field. So it was that mindset that never, in a sense, made an effect on me that way. But just suppressing emotions and to get through the next day, because knowing if you come out, you're going to have to deal with the fear of the unknown. It's going to just attack you all at once, which it did when I finally did come out, but it wasn't as bad as what I thought.
Yeah, that's got to be such a hard pill to swallow every day. Like, that
you're not yourself.
Yeah, like, I think that we as, like, when you're straight and when you're cis, that, like, you take for granted being able to, like, walk out the house and nobody, what people assume about me is who I am. Right. I'm a straight black woman. Cool.
Right.
That's who I am. And that is, it's so, I can only imagine how frustrating that is to, like, literally, like, have to, like, hide a whole major section of who you are. Yeah. So
with suppressing, your sexuality, was it, like, family related? Like, saying, like, did your family say stuff that made you be like, I can't come out? You know what I mean? Because sometimes we could just be talking and someone may say something and right. Be like, yeah, I can't bring up this topic, or I can't talk about that. Yeah. So was it, like, a lot of that in your household?
Well, okay, so one, my household wasn't a big, it wasn't big on, like, church, so it wasn't filled with the philosophy of gay is a sin. So I didn't get hit with that angle, which I know some people in the LGBTQI community do go through. But mine was just, okay, so a little background on me. My mom and my grandfather raised me. And my mom, she filled me with a lot of my go-getter attitude, street knowledge, how to take $5 and turn it into $50. She gave me that sense. And then my grandfather gave me the educational piece. He was a professor at Lincoln University, had his master's degree, so on and so forth, wrote books. So I had what I always considered was the best of both worlds. The street knowledge and then the book sense to make one whole person. And so from either side, there was always a negativity of coming out. So from the street side, you can't come out. You know, that's not the street way. Like, you're supposed to be strong, thug, having a lot of bitches, making a lot of money, so on and so forth. And then even on the professional side of it, you're supposed to be the man, the provider of the home, having your wife and having kids and being a provider, so on and so forth. So both sides always clash, you know, for me, and I always told people it related like a shell. And like both sides just put me in the middle of the shell and like closed up. And it wasn't until college where I got away from the shell that I could actually be myself, and I could make relationships with people who, a lot of people, they told me back then, like, oh, I knew, but I just didn't say anything because I liked Antonio for who Antonio was. Yeah. And it wasn't until, like, you know, a long time had went by that I realized that, like, wow, I made more friends after I came out, and I'm whole time I'm thinking I'm going to lose friends by coming out. So, it was just crazy to try to tie everything back in.
Yeah, I kind of remember, like, obviously, like, well, not obviously, you never, like, explicitly came out to TJ or myself, but I remember the kind of, like, the shift.
Right.
Because you guys always hooped together, and then I never forget one time, you know, so it was like conversation. So, like, you know, Towson's black community, at least at that time, was relatively small. So, like, it was started to kind of like come through the grapevine, and I was like, really? And I was like, so I was a little taken aback, but I wasn't like thoroughly surprised or shocked. And then I ran into you at like Artscape. Like, I don't know if it was like right after we might have graduated, and you had like these piercings coming out here.
The wild
you were like, you know what, fucking, I am out. I'm about to like, so you had all like this stuff going on, and I was like, hey, Antonio. and then I remember I got home and I was like, babe, I was like, guess what, I was on an Artscape. He was like, I was working for Cricket at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I was there. And he was like, Antonio, and he was like, and I was like, yeah, I was like, he's gay. And I was like, and so, but it was so funny. It was like, you know, when we you know, had the discussion, we were like, oh, okay. And then TJ was like, well, he could hoop, so I mean, whatever. Like,
I don't think I said he could hoop.
What did you say? He said
you
something?
Probably did.
No, I probably said like
he was like, it is what it is. He was
right.
like, I hope for them. He was like,
I hope he's happy, and you know. And I think for me, like, so when the Washington Post article dropped, as soon as I seen it, I reached out to him. I'm like, congrats. Like, I'm happy for you. Because at the end of the day, this is his life.
Right.
He ain't never do anything wrong to me. And if this is what makes him happy, that's the most important thing. And, you know, I think as people, we tend to forget that. We tend to forget that we all get our own lives. You know what I mean? So if Antonio was lying forever and, you know, he winds up marrying a woman and still suppressing whatever, or, you know, he goes on a down low or whatever. Like, there's so many dangerous things that can come out of it. So it's better that he comes out and he be happy. And, you know, so when I seen the article, I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, like, this shit is dope. Right. Like, it was a dope piece. It was well written, and it was just like, he's able to be himself. You know what I mean? And I mean, I think I wish that for everybody. Like, I think about it, like, if I had a gay child, what would I do? And I always tell Dani, like, if I had a gay child, I want to be able to joke with him. I want to be able to make jokes.
Yes,
you know, because that's just who I am. Like, that's how I get through. That's how I just get through situation. Like, if I can make jokes with you, then I don't even care. Like, you know what I mean? And I think so many people have these, like, ideas of what people are supposed to do or how they're supposed to live, and, you know, gay it's a choice. It's not who you are, and shit like that.
That bothers me so much.
Yeah, we've talked about that. We've had a lot of conversations.
Because I never felt like it was a choice.
Like, because my philosophy is, why, if it was a choice, would I actively choose to be something that's going to get me fucked up in the game? Like,
absolutely.
Why am I going to choose?
And I have to constantly explain myself.
Exactly.
And
it's just like, I mean, on one hand, like, I love being black, but at the same time, when we were born, we were like, okay, what's gonna be the choice? Exactly. We're gonna be like, well, you know, or, you know, even
take white man for 5,000.
Exactly. Thanks, Alex. Like, and that's why it burns me up when they're like, it's about, say, oh, it's a choice of sin. I'm like, no. I'm like, because if it was a choice, why would they choose this?
A lot of people just don't get it. Just like with you, like your story was different with coming out because like you were already doing masculine things. You were already playing basketball with these people.
Right.
Me growing up hanging with girls, it was
Right.
different. Like, I came out, they already knew it. They didn't want to hang with me still. So it's not like, we already knew. We knew it's faggot ass. Like, it's a different reaction.
Yeah. Then versus like, it was like a bomb drop with you versus like, it was kind of like,
oh, okay.
Yeah, and water's wet. Like,
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But I also think as you get older, you mature.
That's
and you
true.
see things differently. You get different life experiences. And I think for me, coming from New York, it's a melting pot.
Right.
My 8th grade teacher was gay.
Right.
Well, not was gay, but is gay.
Right.
Phil. And, because of that, that was kind of like my first like eye opener. Like, someone would be like, that's gay. And he'll look at them like, what?
Right.
And it's like, this is your teacher, but he also is a man. And Phil, like, he was a lawyer, became a teacher, and now he's like a famous author. Right. And he got his husband now, Kevin. So Phil's a little white Jewish man, and his husband is a black, like, muscular, and it's just like, but it was never like, no. It was never like that's weird or anything like that. It was just like it is what it is, And I'm thankful for that. Coming to Baltimore, it's a lot more homophobic.
Yes.
And for me, like my favorite, the word I hate the most is pause. Like, what I mean? Like, if you're saying something and it sounds gay, quote unquote, you gotta say pause. And I'm like, I'm not saying pause. I know I'm not, and fuck it. Right? If you think I am, cool. But I'm not gonna say pause after every time I say something because I gotta prove how masculine I am.
Right.
So see, that's crazy because like my straight brothers and my cousins, when I hung with them at one point, I would say like no homo, and they would look at me like,
really?
You can't say that.
It was almost a culture.
You are homo, like don't say it.
I mean, I'll even say it. Like I even say it to this day. Like I'll be on PlayStation and in a party chat, and I'll say something. I'm about to go get too hot. No homo, no, because I know like they're just jokesters. So we just take it and try to make fun of it. But
see, and joking is beautiful, but just for me, it's just like I have nothing to prove. I know who I am. Right. So if you want to joke about it and whatever, cool. I'm cool, but I'm just not going to be a 30-year-old man just saying pause and no homo after conversation.
If I say anything with the word balls,
if this was a business,
like, come on.
If this was a business meeting, I couldn't be like, pause. Exactly. I'm talking to a CEO and be like, hey, pause.
Right. No. He gonna look at you like,
he's gonna like, pause what? Like,
why are we pausing the meeting?
Exactly. Is the PowerPoint not working? Like,
when can we resume?
Yeah.
So with Antonio, he was the first LeBron before LeBron.
Oh my
what?
God.
Wait, how? What's?
Because LeBron's the decision.
Everybody this is a purely sports question. So this
everybody hated LeBron.
Let's clear this.
Brian, you and I can go get a drink. Like
everybody hated LeBron.
Sure.
Everybody hated LeBron because LeBron had a special, and they said he was going to Miami. So Antonio,
oh my God,
had ESPN. He's at the ESPN zone.
Yep.
And he had a table, and he had all the hats, and he was talking about the teams and throwing the hats. So this is like a famous situation.
It
so
is.
So the backstory is Antonio was going to UMD. He was going to be a Terrapin.
Yep.
Terrapin.
Whatever.
Oh my God.
Listen. Anyway.
You a tiger. It's okay.
So he was going to be a UMD Terrapin.
Thank
whatever.
you. Just say Terp.
And then he flipped the fucking switch. On live TV with the fucking owners or whatever.
The coaches.
Oh my God.
No, but I'm saying, so he got a lot of hate for this.
It's true.
He got a lot of.
I was reading up on it.
He got a lot of hate,
death threats,
and even to this day,
oh my God.
when the Washington Post article dropped, people were like comments hating, like, why does he get an article and all this other stuff, and I'm just like, again, social media is the devil, but. I want to go back into that situation. What made you decide Penn State over UMD?
I'm so glad you asked. So technically, when the Washington Post first came to do the article that, which got published that everybody saw, it was never about. So it was never supposed to be about me coming out. They were actually literally just doing a catch up on where is he now since we recently saw him, and it was good because when I transferred, when I committed to University of Maryland and then decommitted to them. No one never asked me like what happened, why did the decision go the way that they went. So when I finally got my chance to speak, and people who cared, heard it, was like, oh wow, I never knew that. So everybody thought that I was just being a dick, right? And saying, fuck University of Maryland, I'm going to Penn State University. However, that's not exactly what happened. My freshman year, I got a verbal scholarship from University of Maryland as a freshman in high school. Wow. So literally at the end of my freshman year, I go to a football camp at University of Maryland, and they had the 3-digit numbers across the football player's chest, and all the numbers ending between 0 and 5 were for freshmen and sophomores. Any numbers ending in 6 and 9 were for juniors and seniors. By accident, I had 789. So the entire time at the camp, I'm with juniors and seniors, but I'm a freshman in high school, and I'm 12, 13 years old, going up against 17, 18 years old. No one knew the entire time. Wow. So at the end of the football camp, they have a big one-on-one, the best offensive lineman at the camp versus the best defense alignment versus the camp. So the defense alignment who stepped up was a player by the name of Melvin Alazar. He had already committed to University of Florida, big kid, big time recruit, had been showing off at the camp all week, this, that, and the other. And so another guy had jumped up and said, I'll be the offensive lineman to represent us. And I said, you already got your shine, because he had already had a verbal from University of Maryland. I said, let me have this moment. Let me take this moment. And so I had my moment, I had my shot, and I punished them. I crushed them. The whole camp goes wild. The coaches, they're throwing their hats, they're throwing their clipboard, because I crushed him. He was all this talk the whole entire camp. And that's when Coach Frigian, he pulled up in his golf cart, put me in. He says, I want to offer you a scholarship. You have the talent, you have the size, what schools are you looking to go to next year? And I'm like, next year? I'm going to Forest High School. He's like, oh, you're a junior. Well, what schools are you? And I'm like, no, sir, I'm a freshman. Like
3 more years, sir.
And then when I saw that, like, his eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. Because he knew at that time, like, Jesus Christ, this kid is 6'6", 330 pounds, agile. So I got him.
I got a star.
And so when it was on Father's Day, so I immediately called my grandfather. I got the best Father's Day present for you. I have a $200,000 scholarship, right? What? So it was a big, amazing moment. I took it and I ran with it. By my junior year in high school, I had 51 Division I scholarship offers. It had never been anywhere. And at that time, my recruiting coordinator was James Franklin, who's now the head coach of Penn State University. He left University of Maryland to go coach at Green Bay. And in that time period of like 6 months, no recruiting coordinator had reached out to me from University of Maryland. That was the biggest time for recruiting for college football. So Penn State is flying me out to Penn State, Tennessee's flying me out, and I'm taking official visits, and I'm not getting anything from University of Maryland. They literally dropped the ball. And that's why I ended up not choosing University of Maryland, because one, I had such a great connection with James Franklin, and then he left.
Got it.
He was the guy who would call me, it's 7 o'clock at night on a Thursday school night. Hey, what are you doing? Nothing, studying for a test. He's like, all right, I got Maryland Duke front court tickets. Come on, you and your family, da-da-da. And I'm like, what? And I'm in high school, so I'm going. Everything was going good. Then he left. They didn't fill it with anybody, and then Penn State came in and stole the show.
So they just kind of like, and like that's such a long time to try and keep somebody like, I don't want to say even interested, but you got to keep them engaged. Right. So,
then we all know, like, if we're being real about it, University of Maryland couldn't offer me athletically as much as Penn State could. They're on 2 different levels of football. So I was going for I was shooting for the stars. I was going big.
Got you.
Definitely. Well, I think that is, because we were literally talking about that too, and I was, what little bit I know, and I'm like, I don't know what drove that decision. I was just like, was he just trying to like, because we're all kind of like assholes when we're 17 years old, because we think we know everything. Right. And so that was like,
it was a bunch of lies too, though. Like they said that I wore a red tie. Because,
I read that in the article.
Because I was going to University of Maryland. No, my grandfather and my father is a Kappa. I wanted to be a Kappa, so on and so forth. That's why I wore a crimson tie, not even red. But I digress.
See, people just assuming.
So with that, what happened at Penn State?
So at Penn State, I went through a tough time my freshman year. Well, not on the field. It was all a lot of off the field issues. My grandfather got really, really sick during that time.
And he raised you?
Yes, okay. Yes. My grandfather was the father figure who raised me. And within that same year of my freshman year at Penn State, my father had finally came back into my life. And so at the same point in time of a 3-month span, my grandfather was really, really ill. And then my father had got into a tragic car accident where he didn't have his seatbelt on. He went through the windshield window of his car, had to have face surgery, broken bones, ribs, so on and so forth. He was fighting for his life, and so on and so forth. So I had made the decision to be closer to home. And so I wanted to play right away. So I was like, well, what way can I still get closer to home and I can still play football right away? Because I know it'll keep my mind where it needs to be. I can still do what I love,
because
still get my education.
From Division I to Division I.
You can't transfer Division I to Division I and still play right away.
You have the red shirt.
Right. So I had to go down to Division I AA. And so I was like, the best team in the area was between James Madison and Towson University. And I just chose Towson University because of the criminal justice system that they was offering for, and that was my major and everything. And everything else is history. I thought I made a great decision with my degree from Towson and leading me everywhere I needed to go.
Where did you feel, I mean, we know that you came out at Towson, but like, did you feel like because that community made you feel like more at home? Did you feel more like safe there versus when you were at Penn State?
Yeah, and then I had some friends and family who had already went to Towson.
Okay.
And then I had some family that was in the Baltimore area and that were going to Morgan University.
So it made it easier.
Yeah, so I used to always say, okay, I can get my education at Towson and go party at Morgan. Exactly what I did,
Who didn't?
Exactly.
So when you left, was Joe Paterno, that's his name, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Was he like cool with it or like, or was he like, get the fuck out?
No. So he gave me his blessing of transferring. He only told me that he wouldn't allow me to go to another Big Ten school. Okay. So he told me personally, he was like, I'm not going to let my talent go to another Big Ten school and have to play you 3-4 times again. And then also the Big Ten had already in their rules and regulations that if you accepted a scholarship from one Big Ten school, you can never transfer and go to another Big Ten school and be on scholarship. So I would have had to transfer to Ohio State, Illinois, and then pay out of pocket, which clearly I wasn't about to do. So, but Joe, he was cool with it. He understood. He gave me his blessings and everything, and he's the one who signed off on my transfer.
And then this is my last what's the school?
Penn State
question. Now we know about the scandal with Jerry Sandusky.
Right.
Did you like when you met Sandusky, was it ever like something is off about him or
I get this so much and I try to be political correct about it, but I'm not right now. I kind of felt something was off about him.
You got like a vibe.
You already know when you meet like someone who, for whatever reason, is just a little socially awkward, whatever, quirky. Yeah. And that was him. But by any means that I know he was doing stuff like that, like absolutely not. Yeah. I had no idea. Like my mind would have never okay, yeah, he's weird and awkward or whatever, but that's just him and whatnot. I never thought that he was into anything like that. And then even when I was there, he wasn't actually coaching. He wasn't a part of the coaching staff. He was a part of a subset organization that was still doing stuff through Penn State University.
Got it.
So he wasn't even yeah.
Well, we thank you for that wonderful sports recap, football.
Gotta make my man TJ happy.
Yeah. So now to bring me and Brian back into the fold.
Welcome back, guys.
Listen, y'all could have thrown some sports stuff out there.
I don't think either of us are in the business of trying to make ourselves look like fools.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. So we're gonna speak about what we know about.
That's crazy to me. But go ahead.
So we've talked about how you're coming out and how being gay or like how football kind of that relationship suppressed who you were, and then what happened once you kind of gotten past that. When y'all came out, or when when your circle started really know I became like a parent that you were gay, who was there for you the most, or in the best? Like, was there like, I know you mentioned Claude, and like if there was there anyone else who was just like that pivotal person who was like, and I know you also mentioned your mom, but like outside of those people, like, okay, they made this transition, they made this kind of turning of the page a little bit easier.
For me, since my coming out was more so college, it was my college circle that I had, especially friends like TJ, Nick, Pat, Salim, Howard. It was actually my straight friends, not even the gay friends that I made at Towson, who made it easier for me. Wow. It was my straight friends like that who, once they knew, never changed. It was still, you coming to play ball, we hanging out, we going to get something to eat, you know, we're doing this, we're doing that. It never changed. And for me, that was like, without them even knowing it, the biggest thing for me, you know what I mean? So to know that, you know, my relationships weren't going to change, my friendships weren't going to change, they were still going to see me as the same person. So it was my straight friends actually who helped me the most through that coming out process at Towson.
Got it.
Well, for me, I had a friend named Shawnice, and she was just very supportive. Like, I guess I was trying to figure myself out too, and she would too. So like, when she would ask me questions, I guess like I was answering them, but I was figuring it out as I was answering. So like she kind of just helped me, you know, find out, you know, exactly where I was at with my sexuality, I guess.
I asked that, and we asked that because it's so important to have like people in your corner, because you don't want to feel like in any way, but especially in this situation, feeling like you're kind of like hanging in the wind because, you know, you have you're fortunate to have your families, because that's not everybody's reality. But then
that's true.
Having friends who also like accept you, and then the friends you had beforehand still being, banging with you after the fact is also important, because it's like, I gotta start all over and make all new friends and everything. Here's a little lighthearted one for you. So they talk about gaydar, they talk about all that stuff like that, right?
It's a real thing.
This is my question. So, like, have you ever just been in conversation with someone, or even just observing someone else, or an interaction between other people, and be like, somebody's not being honest? Like,
this is weird for me, because I have people in my family. I'm not, of course, we're not going to say names.
Of course, never that. But
I have like two that I can be like, oh yeah, you're like me. Come on, join the party. Just be comfortable, you know.
Because how do you and in that situation, do you? Because it's such a hard, difficult conversation to have, because you don't want. It's kind of like, I don't want to, and they're not equating on the same level, but it's almost like, you don't want to outwardly be like, are you gay? Yeah. And then just like somebody, you won't go up to a woman and be like, what do you do? And be like, bitch, absolutely. I am not pregnant. Because it's just like, and then you make a fool of yourself, or you put somebody out there in a way that they're not ready for. And so it's just like, what advice, or in what ways, have you ever had a friend who's not been out and or not never really verbalized to, but then once they did, you were how did that you kind of help, or how did y'all help facilitate that transition?
You had one? Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, bring it back to Shawnee. She has a younger brother who's actually gay.
Okay.
Before he came out, I would always say, I was like, your little brother, he reminds me of myself. I would never outright say he was gay.
Yeah.
But one time we had got into it, and he was like, called me a fag, and I was like, you a fag. So then we went back and forth, but eventually he had, once I came out, he had called me and was like, I'm like you, you know, I don't want to tell my sister anything, so I was the first person that he came out to, but it was a weird for me, because I'm your sister's best friend. So I know, but I don't want to say anything, because I know if I would have said something to her, she would say something to her mother, and it would have been it was like I outed him before he was ready.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember, so one of my best friends, oldest friends since high school, she's married to a woman now, but I remember when we basically we left for college, and by all accounts she was straight when we left for college, and we came back for Christmas break and she had a girlfriend. So we were but I just remember her, she told, so it was there's four of us, and so she told our one friend first, and then this is how old it was. She told me on AIM, like instant messenger.
Wow.
We were like,
you got mail.
Yeah. She was like, I got something that she's like, me and that, because, of course, like when you're a freshman in college and you're like talking about your new friends with your old friends and like, yeah, my homegirl here, whatever. So she was like, yeah, that girl I'm always talking about? And I was like, how like you sit on the computer? I was like, mm-hmm. And because I was like, I kind of feel like I knew what was coming. Mm-hmm. And then she was like, well, she's more than a friend, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, she's like, are you mad? I was like, girl, no. I was like, it's fine. Like, but then it was one more friend in our circle. And I was like, when you going to tell her? And so she was like, well, that's the thing. So.
You had to tell her?
Yes.
Oh.
Long story short. Like, we literally, like, we planned to spend we spent New Year's Eve together. We all had, like, a sleepover. We were like, okay, that way we're all together. And 3 out of the 4 of us know what's up. So, like, we can be here when she tells her so we can, like, support and this, that, and the other. And midnight came and went. And we're in the next year. And we're leaving. It's snowing. And I'm like, girl, when are you going to tell her? And I never forget. She was like, I was like walking out of her apartment with our other friend who still didn't know, and she was like closing her. She was like, I can't tell her, tell her for me, bye. And like, I slammed the door in my face. And so we just like, we're walking in the Bronx, like trying to catch a cab back to Harlem. And I was like, so, and like, it was, she didn't take it well at first. But like now, like she officiated. The friend that didn't take it well at first officiated our other friend's wedding. So like we're like there, like we're and that. So it's like totally fine. But in that moment, it didn't go over very well. And like I never forget, we argued from the Bronx all the way to Harlem in the back of a cab, and I'm just like, you don't understand. And blah, blah, blah. It was a lot. So sorry to digress, but that story was just always so funny to me because she literally like shoved me out her apartment and she was like, tell her for me, bye. And then like closed the door. I'm like, well, that's one way
of letting them know.
Yeah. So we're gonna go back.
I was gonna say one thing we could do is how did y'all meet?
How did y'all? Because I'm gonna talk about dating, but like let's bring it up to
because we were all over, but
yeah.
Well, thanks to social media.
Okay. See, it's a gift. It's a gift.
It's a gift. But social media brought us together. And it's funny because
who slid into whose DMs?
Oh, I don't slide in DMs.
Oh, my bad.
Look, so I guess we had no answer to that.
Yeah, clearly. I had hit him up and we was talking on social media, and I was like,
they are blushing, y'all.
I was like, so maybe we should chill, maybe we should hang out. And the thing that even to this day always stood out to me, he was like, well, what's your definition of chill? And so for most guys, when I would ask that, in a sense, they would just be like, well, whatever you want to do, we can have fun, da 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 da. And I'm like,
nah, you gotta come a little better.
Yeah, like you're coming automatically with standards from the gate, and like, it kind of impressed me from there. And then I think I went to go see him at his mom's house, and the same way he's blushing now, he couldn't stop blushing then. And he said something to me that day, and we still remember it to this day. He said, because I kept complimenting him, and he said, "But when are the compliments gonna stop?" Like, and I'm like, "Well, they should never stop. Like, as long as you're gonna talk to me and deal with me, you're gonna always get compliments." And to this day, like, I try to make sure that like I compliment about something or say, I love you or something every single day.
Every Thursday. So I don't give compliments like that. Oh, so every Thursday I put in my phone as a reminder to just give a compliment.
So eventually you'll get better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then it becomes...
I dole out the compliments more often. So I appreciate his effort.
Listen, baby steps.
Yeah, man.
Well, a lot of my friends always ask, what do you guys give credit to of how you guys stay together for so long? And I say compromise. Compromise is, to me, one of the biggest things for relationships.
100%.
Because I'm not the big believer in soulmates and like love at first sight. Like, those are all good and great. If you have that, hats off to you. I wish I could trade places with you, but that's not reality for most of us. And it's just like you meet a person, you guys like each other, you guys fall in love, and whatnot, you're gonna realize that, okay, I have interests that he doesn't really have, and she has interests that I really don't have. But it's all about compromise. Like, I know for a fact that when I'm playing football games and it's 89 degrees out there, and he's in the stands, he's not playing, he's sweating, he really don't know as much as going on.
Phone dying,
but
that's flying at the flies.
You know what I mean? But he's there because he knows that that's what makes me happy. And so when the roles reverse and he wants to watch
Real Housewives of
Atlanta, I'm right there. I'm right there tuned in. You know, just supporting him or whatever the case is. Right. So I think it's a lot about compromise to keep relationships going. You know, and then if you guys both compromise with each other, why wouldn't you be happy? You're doing everything that I want you to do that's going to make me happy, and I'm doing everything that you want me to do that's going to make you happy. And if it's all about us, then you need to compromise. You got to try to find where you can fit in with that person's, interest.
So when y'all first started, were you like out officially, or was it okay?
No, y'all was officially out. I don't think he probably would have talked to me.
2013, 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, 14.
14.
When we met.
In December 2014.
Yeah. So
hold on. Who said I love you first?
Oh my.
He did.
Okay.
He said it first. I said thank you.
Oh. I said it like the first week we started dating.
He said 2 weeks after the
like an accident. It's like, oh.
I was like, nope, you can't take it back. You said it.
It was like a burp.
Came.
That's how it was for her. She like tried to like mouth it. She's like, I love you, something like that. I was like, what you said?
Like nothing. But he said it first, and I was like,
I said it like 2 weeks while we were dating.
Okay, yeah, but we were like 16, so you probably meant it then, because you know how when you.
I don't know how I would have took that. Thank you.
Because I didn't want to say it and not mean it. So like my
I was saying it jokingly, so that's why.
That's what he says now, but he meant it.
You knew what it was.
I said,
so that's why my 16-year-old self was like, well, I don't want to say it back and not mean it. So I was like, thank you. Like,
so you know me, I'm a jokester.
Yeah.
We broke up the first time, and that's
he lied. He lied about some stupid shit.
I didn't lie. See, and this will come back to joking.
See,
this will come back to joking. So when me and Dani met in 03, and
yes,
in 03, we were like messing around, but we weren't dating. I guess that would be like
we were talking. Messing around gives an implication. I wasn't like that.
She was messing around anyway.
No, I wasn't.
So one day,
Jersey Shore-ish, right?
one day I hit her on AIM, and I was just like, we were talking over, and she said something. And I was like, I got hit by a bus, something like that. And then she was like, well, why are you typing? Well, she was like, why are you texting something like that or whatever? But I was just joking. Like that was my kind of humor.
Sometimes though, the message came through. You've got mail.
But it was like like instant messenger. It was like doo doo. It was like had that little noise, and I was like, why are you home from school? And he was like, oh, I got in an accident. Or no, he said I broke my leg, and I was like, oh my god, like how did you break your leg? Are you okay?
Like,
and then I was like, nigga, get off my screen. Like,
and the reason why I said that is because in my own neighborhood, it was this woman who. Every summer she got hit by a bus. Every summer she got hit by a bus. Every summer for like 3 to 4 summers.
Her balance was pretty sturdy.
She got hit by a bus. So I knew that if you get hit by a bus, your leg can break because I've seen it multiple times. So I was like, let me joke. So I did that, and then
so she broke up with you.
Yes,
she was like, I'm not messing with you no more. Pretty much. And then we come back.
Yeah, we're saving that for. The story of us is going to be like just us, and I was going to tell it from the beginning. I'll tell the truth.
Everyone can hear the truth.
No, you're going to hear the truth.
You want to hear the truth.
Your alternative facts,
nigga. Ladies and gentlemen, to that truth.
It's going to be my shit. Because she be lying.
So you guys, you meet, you come over, you realize that Brian's not about no bullshit. You guys step your game up, and then we know who said I love you first. But like, what was y'all first like date like? What did that look like?
It was like a debut date, right? We went to the hookah bar
with JoJo and her girlfriend, or
it was a debut date.
A debut date, okay.
Yeah.
That's safe.
Yeah.
A little less pressure,
right?
And then. Like, how did you guys know that, like, ooh, I like him? Like, obviously, when you said I love you, but before that, when you're like, oh, this could go somewhere. Like, what was the...
He was just different from everybody I had ever been with. Like, I was used to, like, I guess I'm gonna say hood boogers, people that was, you know, probably I shouldn't have been with because they wasn't being honest with themselves. And it was just like he was just himself. I didn't feel like he was pretending and all the compliments and stuff.
The like, compliments are nice.
He makes me feel nice.
And you, Antonio?
For me, it was the little things. Like, the little things for me that, like, most people wouldn't even pay attention to, like, mattered to me. Like, granted, you know, in our relationship, I guess you can say I play more of the dominant male role in our relationship. And it was, like, little things, like, we would go out on a date, and then, like, he would pull his card out. I was like, oh, okay, so, you know, he's not trying to, you know,
he wasn't
just
looking at his phone when checking.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that, you know... And then, like, when he would come over, he would see that things needed to be done and would just do it. Like, just the little things like that showed me that, like, he cared about me. You know, he really cared and was interested in me and not, like, what I could do for him or what I'm not even bringing to the table. It was just like, whoever you are, I'm interested in that.
I remember in the beginning you thought that I had like these articles that you already. You just knew that I knew. I'm like, I don't even watch football.
Exactly.
I
Like,
about
sorry,
anything this article is talking about.
Exactly.
Like, so it was a good thing that he didn't know who I was.
This is what he's talking
Brian was
about.
like, so did you score like a home run? Like,
Yeah,
he was
exactly.
like,
What I was talking
he was
about.
like, I don't understand.
Do y'all use those terms like a top bottom, or do y'all just
those are
okay?
It's important in the gay world that you know what role you are in.
Yeah, because does that cause
They're
like
developing?
Yeah, because so like I listen to The Read all the time, which is in the podcast. So like while I'll say this, like growing up in New York, just being probably a decent human being, not like slow, like I recognize like appropriate terms and stuff like that, but then of course like when you're not a part of a community, like of the community, there is definitely like language and lingo that you don't understand, just like a white person would probably sit here and hear things that the four of us are saying and like context clues but not quite. So like would you like mind giving us like a vocabulary lesson?
Oh, wow. There's
Do you
so
want
many
it?
terms.
Yeah, there's so many.
So what like what
But the main three,
okay,
I guess, would be top, bottom, and verse.
all three I've heard. Okay,
Right. So the
verse
top,
meaning versatile.
right. Verse
Okay.
meaning versatile, which is versatile in between top and bottom.
Okay.
So top would be normally the masculine one in the relationship, the one who
The picture.
right, who's
Got it.
penetrating the other.
Got it.
And then the bottom is the catcher
The
in
receiver.
the relationship who's receiving
Got
the
it.
pitch.
So and then the verse is somebody
greedy.
Right. they just want it all.
I just want it all.
Whatever you're bringing to the table, let's go.
So is there like a hierarchy to it? Like, is it like...
So me and my friends were talking about this.
Okay.
So if you want to break down each umbrella of the LGBT community, there's like shade between them.
The letters.
Right, exactly. So gay, you have the shade where it comes, are you top, bottom, verse? Then there's subsets of those titles, like versatile top, meaning, I'll do both, but I'm going to majorly be a top.
Okay.
You know, so, but then there's shade in them all because, and I do think it's a hierarchy. People might think that I'm wrong, but I think that tops are held to like a higher pedestal, so to speak, rather than like maybe bottoms. And I think just because they're more rare,
exactly,
than
a bottom is more rare.
No,
a
top is more rare.
A top is more rare. Okay,
right. That masculine still.
Oh, okay. So it's almost like a like low key like sexism kind of thing. Because like
it is.
Because like
is.
If you're just talking about like masculinity versus femininity, if like masculine is associated with top, feminine is associated with bottom, kind of.
Yeah, no, because like my best friend is in a relationship and they aren't like us. They're both like me.
Okay.
And they argue, girl. And I couldn't imagine arguing and calling him a girl, but that works for them. Like
And so
clearly one of them has to do one.
Somebody's got to take one for the team, right? So okay, so that would be okay. And then, but like, so you say when you said verse, you were like, well, they're just greedy. So are they like the ones that kind of have people look their nose down, like look down on, or because you would think that like verse So my thinking would be like somebody who's versatile is like, I can do both, so I'm appealing to everybody.
Sometimes.
And that could also
that could be a turn off.
You for everybody.
Exactly.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Like,
okay,
like if you're versatile, you can leave the club with anybody tonight.
Right.
It's no telling, like, you know.
It's not, you're not as like discerning. Like,
no,
you just
be like, we're gonna go together. Let's have fun.
Right.
Okay. So what challenges do you guys face, like, as far as like when you were looking for love? Obviously you found it, but like when you were dating, or what do your friends experience as, and you can speak like, you know, specifically just as gay men, or with your friends who are part of the other letters and LGBTQI, and like what are those challenges that you experience or that you find, because there's a whole nother like level and layer to it when you aren't just straight.
A lot of gays don't even look for love.
Right.
They look for
The
satisfaction.
Right now, yeah.
Depending on and see, each person is different. Each individual person, their coming out story is going to be different. It's like the story my grandfather used to tell, the 10 blind men in the room with the elephant. It's 10 blind men, they all touch a different part of the elephant. They all come back with a different story. You touch the leg, you touch the tusk, you touch the tooth, the tail, you think that the elephant feels differently. Everybody has their like own unique different battles. Like there's discrimination with bottoms in a sense where you have different types of bottoms. You have what people consider power bottoms, and then like you have people who like to be tied up, and it's like it gets mushy.
So
you
what's
know?
a power bottom? That's a term I've heard, which even my context clues I couldn't pick up.
So power bottom in my world is like the most extreme type bottom. It's the
Freak hoe.
It's the one who pounded, give it to me. Don't touch anything that I have. Just
got it. So
serve
you're
me
just
as I'm a
focusing on that
woman.
one area.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's it.
much.
That's it.
Got it.
Or any area but that area.
Okay.
Right.
Got it. So this is something else I've always I always hear when they talk on the read. Do y'all listen to that podcast at all?
I need to start.
Right.
So
like
it's Kid Fury and Crystal. They're both like, he's gay. She's I don't know if she identifies as queer or lesbian, but she like studs. And they've been out for like 2 years. They are like the the king and queen of all podcasting, because like they get like mad money and like they're like famous.
And Kid Fury's like, he has like the best parties.
Yeah, he has one. He's from originally, so she's from Oklahoma and he's from
hip,
Miami, and he just has this one called 305 Live. He has like one in New York, and sometimes he has one in DC.
And then he also has
Trilloween. So Trilloween they do in DC now too. So you like, he's big on Halloween, and so I would encourage you to listen to them.
Shout out to the read.
Yes. So they always talk about lesbians fall in love real fast. Is there like any? Do you agree with that sentiment?
Gay
like they be like they like move in with each other after 2 weeks and stuff like that, or is that just like?
I think that's. I mean, well, that's our story, folks.
Oh, is that what y'all did?
Yes.
And we're not lesbians.
Right. No.
How soon did y'all move in together?
Too soon.
2 months, if even.
2
I
months.
think it was a full 2 months.
Right. We were living.
Was
together
somebody
really
leased up,
quickly.
or was it just like?
No, I had a situation.
Right.
It was like a family situation, and he just was there
Like,
for
come
me.
stay here.
Right. And then my thing was, because I remember talking to my best friend, Jeray, and she was just like,
I know Jeray. I remember Jeray. Hey, Jeray.
She was giving me that side eye of like, it's soon. You sure? And then, I had the approach of Jeray, either it's going to work or it's not. And I said, if it is going to work, and I like him the way that I do, and I feel the way that I do, and it is something real, then imagine what type of a head start we're going to have in our relationship, than not. And then I kind of go like that's kind of the way that I live. Like things are going to happen no matter what. It's going to be what it's going to be.
You sound
like it's a lot of things you can't stop. So I was just like, let's just move in together. It completely helped us get to know each other and have a lot of arguments a lot sooner.
Like got them out the way.
Right. You know what I'm saying? A lot sooner. And then we learned each other so quickly.
Did you ever have a point where y'all would be like, this might not work? Like in the beginning?
We had a break.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Oh, you did? Okay.
No, well, he wanted a break, but I guess he didn't know what a break was. So I thought when you have a break, like, you don't reach out to the other person, like, you just, like on a break,
yeah.
right? No.
And then, to be honest, I don't even remember why the break happened. But, like, the break happened, and I went to football practice. And I was leaving football practice. And true story, I'm leaving football practice, and I see 4 of my teammates leave with a girl. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm about to call. Oh, shit.
Yeah, like.
We on this break. And I called, and I'm like, yeah, I'm on my way to come pick you up, pack your shit up.
No, that's not happening. You're like, where are you? I was like, I'm at my mother's house. And you was like, you were on your way. And then you sat there for like maybe 20 minutes and was like, are you coming home? Pack your stuff up.
Like, the break literally lasted not even maybe like 24 hours.
We had a break like that. I went and stayed with my line sister for a day.
Yeah, and I was just like, I'm really about to go home to nobody.
Then you
I'm
got
not
upset
really
to me
that
because I didn't
mad.
invite you out.
Oh, yeah, because it was around his
You
birthday.
called for this break. Like, why are you now upset because I'm not inviting you?
And I'm like, why didn't you invite me out to dinner if you knew you was
that's
going?
what breaks
He's like,
are.
we were on a break, duh. I'm like, nah, that don't count. You're supposed to have invited me no matter what.
You don't know. How you gonna call for a break and don't even know it?
Difficult. You gotta.
Yes. Don't make no sense.
Listen. You called for the break too.
I did call for, but then I knew what a break was. So, and then you showed up at the stroll competition. I'm like,
I didn't show up. You told me to come.
Did I?
Yes, you did.
I don't know.
You made up at that time. You definitely had me come.
Like you.
I would have stayed my ass in the crib.
Nah, you be the type to be trying to show up and be like,
I didn't like Greek life like that.
Because we were,
I didn't like
since
Greek life
we
like
came
that,
as a
so-
unit to
Yeah, when
college.
we met, y'all don't think you were for it at first.
Yeah, exactly. So why would I go to the event? You invited me.
Because I was there. That's why you would go to the event.
No, I wouldn't have went to the event just because you was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Still
still
chasing.
mine.
You were still chasing.
I definitely wasn't.
It-
We had made up early in the day, and then she got me a ticket. I'm telling you, I wasn't just showing up. That'd have been different. It'd have been different if it was like I showed up to like a party or Fridays, but it was no reason for me to go to the fucking stroll competition.
I don't even remember why we went on a break. Do you?
Because you crazy.
I'm not. Don't call me crazy.
See?
I haven't used the same excuse. We're on a break because you're crazy.
Oh my god.
So, what you want?
No, you have the next question.
Okay, my bad.
This has been an extensive because we're learning.
Yes.
But it's like.
And it's always a good thing though, because a lot of people don't want to offend people.
Yeah.
100%.
So
Absolutely.
And ignorance is what keep us so divided nowadays, because we don't have more of these conversations, and we don't realize how similar your relationship is to ours, and that we go through some of the similar drama and so on and so forth. And people think because you sleep with the same sex or different sex that it's going to be different. Love is love, and relationships are relationships. You deal with shit. You go through shit. You gotta make a way.
Love.
Yeah, you can't. You can't.
It's not something that
Not at all.
So I again, it's as you said that, like I'm looking and I'm like, they look like me and Dani. Like you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
they laugh, they joke, they they blush when they talk about certain things.
They got different accounts of stories. So, well, get into that part. So let's do, what's like pet peeve? Because we know, I know we got them. So like, just because especially once you live together, like it starts to come all out the woodwork. It's like, I hate the way this nigga brush his teeth. Like, oh my.
Also, a pet peeve within the relationship.
Yeah, or like even just like if it's like household stuff, if it's like, because y'all been living together now for 4 years, so you definitely seen some stuff that y'all would roll your eyes at.
Yeah, it's just like you said, little stuff like the toilet paper. I think it's supposed to face you and not face the opposite way.
So you ain't supposed to go over then under?
Yeah, I should be able to grab it and not have to extend my arm to the wall. So
You lucky. You should be lucky I put the goddamn toilet. That's how I feel. Like I was going to put it on the back of the goddamn toilet.
Oh my
on the toilet anyway, on the sink. You lucky
That's what
I
he
took
does.
the time to put it on the damn bro.
But he does put the seat down, so I can appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay, we have 2 fur babies.
Yes. So how does that?
I'm a single parent.
I'm a single parent.
Antonio like big dogs though.
No, they're like Chihuahuas.
No, I said it's probably because Antonio likes big dogs.
Oh,
So I put my I was getting to my disclaimer before.
Okay.
I put my foot in my mouth because the goal at first was he was to get his little dog, because we had talked to our vet. He was supposed to get his little dog first, let the little dog come in, claim territory, and then when I got my big dog, it wouldn't be that much of a beef or an issue because the little dog would have already claimed territory and would have helped raise the big dog even though it would have been bigger. Mm-hmm. So he's going through the process, looking up dogs, trying to find which dog he wants. He lands on the Chihuahua. He finds his cute little Chihuahua. And I turned into a big kid on Christmas. Like, oh, you getting one? I want one too.
Oh my gosh.
And then I got the scroll and then saw this white, little, fluffy, timid little Chihuahua.
He looked scared in the picture, you guys.
And I don't know, something just drew me to this crazy little dog. And that's exactly what I got. A crazy little dog.
Got it. And now Brian's raising both of them.
Absolutely.
You a deadbeat, Antonio?
No, look, I pay my child support. See, that's the thing. Financially, I am there, right? Okay.
That bill.
That
Sometimes it's not
You have to be there. You have to be there.
No, look. I'm paying my child support, right?
But you gotta spend time.
I spend time. We cuddle and we go on walks and
Well,
stuff.
they're not cuddling with me, yes.
But see, they just love him. They just be all up under him. But
I'm there.
and see, okay, so my thing. Okay, so praise God that we're about to close on our condo. That
Yes. Shout out to you. Yes, Cardi.
Thank
yes, we'll be getting more space. I'm a gamer. I'm still a gamer from back in the day. Like in my free time after work, and I'd go off into my game world, and that's just what it be. And like, they're not the lap dogs that I can sit there and they're comfortable and content.
See, London is a lap dog,
right?
Like if I'm sitting down on the recliner, she's gonna get it in between my legs, and she's on.
See, Callie will do that.
Truthful now.
No,
we have 2 dogs, right?
Yeah.
My dog is a lap dog, but that's my dog, right?
Yeah.
His dog isn't the lap dog. So maybe that's something he should have worked on.
So like my thing, I can put Ghost in my lap while I'm playing the game, and he'll stay there for all of 10 seconds. He's like, okay, wait, you ain't touching me, you ain't talking to me, you ain't doing nothing. I'm out.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I'm not about to chase you. I'm still gonna shoot this nigga in the head on Call of Duty.
Oh my god.
But when he jumps from his lap, whose face is he in now?
Yours.
Oh, poor me.
Single parent. You got it.
So
Listen.
Antonio's a deadbeat.
Yes.
I'm paying my child support.
Still deadbeat.
I'm paying my child
It's
support.
more than money. It's
You
time.
gotta
It's
Yes.
time.
I'm still there. I live there.
At least a visitation.
Like,
At least pick one day.
I got
business or
got
something.
visitation rights. I see him every day.
Do you guys want to get married?
Of course. Yeah.
Do y'all want kids?
Yep.
How would y'all go about that?
So multiple ways. So we have multiple options in front of us. So we can. I've had. I don't know how he completely feels about it, but I've had females in the past tell me, when you're ready to have a kid,
surrogate.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll carry your child, and so on and so forth. But then of course, with financial situation working out, you can always go to the doctor and have it that way. And now they have a system where it's 2 gay males who want to have a child. They will mix the sperm and then inject it into the female, so we would never know exactly who the father is. We will automatically just.
But I mean, if you have, he's like 6'6" and 300 pounds.
Yeah,
Be like,
didn't come from me.
Yeah, well, that ain't my generation.
Yeah.
But then, would you guys ever consider adoption?
Yeah, we've talked about it. But I definitely want to have a boy. He's leaning more so towards a girl.
I told him in the beginning, because I don't know how we got to multiple children. I just wanted one, and whatever we got, it didn't matter.
Okay.
But because he's so hooked on having 2 boys, like if
Two boys?
I grew up in a house full of
boys. So maybe like a boy and a girl.
See,
That's
and
you said compromise.
And for me,
You said compromise. So if he's gonna compromise on more than one kid, you gotta compromise.
and I have said that I would compromise that if I had to. But the reason why I was so gun ho on multiple boys is because I'm the last Loganelle of my generation that can have children. So if something, God forbid, knock on wood, something happened to me today or tomorrow, there couldn't be another necessarily generation of a Logan L. So, and then I always wanted to have boys because if a girl marries, she can get her last name changed, and then also
she could always keep her name.
She could. That would be instilled on day one as soon as you come out the womb.
Like you can, it's your choice, it's your prerogative. Because I mean, I took TJ's last name.
Yeah, choice.
See, you know what I'm saying?
No, but see, I always knew that I could that I would want to take whatever my husband's last name was, because unless it was like something really like ridiculous, dumb, yeah. Right. And so that wasn't really an issue for me. It was just more like, okay, that is what it is. So it wasn't like I had no choice. It was my choice to begin with. Whatever.
But see, and that's how a lot of guys feel, though. You know, like even when we get married, I want to make sure that he takes my last name. You know what I mean? And if I instill that in my kids, so with having
so you guys, when you guys get married, Brian would adopt y'all talked about that, like taking your last name, or would y'all?
Well, he'll most likely hyphenate and keep his last. Well, he's actually talked about doing away with his last name.
Okay.
And just taking my last name. And then,
because how do you hyphenate? Because yours is
it's already hyphenated in a sense.
So it's like
with Logan L.
So
it'll be Hubbard Logan L. It'll be a bit much maybe.
Yeah, that's a lot for a 4-year-old to write.
But then also just open up Pandora's box. I've been in the thought of dropping the L on my last name. Just due to the fact of what it symbolizes. It symbolizes Moorish American, which is a Muslim religion, and I'm not of Muslim religion. My grandfather was, and he gave us a last name, so of respect of him, of course I want to, keep it, but I would keep Logan moving forward, and go from there.
Well, I think it's smart to have those conversations, because marriage is, and no matter how long you've been together, like marriage does change things, and it can it changes things in a lot of ways for the better.
I don't think it changed a lot for us.
I think it solidified things. I think it we were already solid. But
for me, it didn't change anything. Our marriage didn't change until we had Tatum.
Okay,
so having a child and being married, that kind of changes things.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when you are beefing. And you are getting to that point, and it's easy to leave. I'm not saying easy to leave. It's easier to leave when you don't have a child. But when you have a child, no matter how bad it gets, you have to remember your child.
Right.
Right. So again, me and Dani, we're not perfect. We're an open book. We've had bad since being married, really bad. But for me, it's always been like, I don't want Tatum to grow up without both of us.
Right.
How can we fix it?
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, that may have been the biggest thing for me as marriage-wise. Like, it forced us to have to talk more. It forced us to kind of have to communicate. And, me and Dani communicate differently. Like, my thing is, if we're beefing, I want to talk now. Let's get this shit out of the way. Whereas Dani will be like, so I'm free next week, so we can talk then. But now, don't tell me that, because now I'm livid. All right, you want to talk next week? Don't talk to me until next week. Don't say nothing to me. Don't even say hi to me.
Sign?
I'm a Cancer.
Okay.
My birthday's in a couple of weeks. Like 2.5 weeks.
Don't walk in this house and be like, hey, speak to me next week.
And for me, it's just a matter of I am Cancer. I'm sensitive about my shit. And I don't I am my father's daughter, which is that my father was never good at articulating himself when he was upset.
Okay.
So I get as eloquent, as talkative as I am right now, when I'm really upset, it becomes really difficult for me, because I'm I get flustered, and then my words don't come out right. Then I get more upset, and then I'm crying. I'm angry because I'm angry. Because when I cry, it's not because you getting the best of me. It's because I am trying. I want to murder you, and I'm scared of jail. That's it. And so
I told you she's crazy.
I agree with you on
thank
that
you.
one.
So sometimes when I say that, I'm it's because I need a minute to calm down and get myself together,
So then say, listen, I'm gonna need a minute, we'll talk and whatever. Don't tell me we're gonna talk next week.
Okay, but then it's so like there's that, and then the other times it's like I don't have the energy to like, because that's the thing. He just comes from a long line of people who are argumentative. That's his genetic makeup. I come from like, I don't got the time. Like, I just run out of steam a lot faster when it comes to arguments.
That's cool.
And so
my thing is, I'd rather us talk about it now, and we can move on.
See, I come from the same place.
Let's learn how.
Learn. Yeah, I've learned to come from the same place.
And we have those moments too, because like
we've definitely had moments where we're able to.
Because I'll be like, all right, let's have it out. Let's just do it.
We'll have a conversation, and now we can get back to the normal. And that's hard. That's a learned behavior. Right. Because when you're angry, you're angry. It's hard to be like, you know what, I'm mad at you or whatever, but come here, give me a kiss.
But when you care, that's when you go the extra
100%.
mile.
Yeah.
You know, because when coming into the relationship, I'm a Taurus, and I wear that on my chest, on my sleeves.
And what are you, Brian?
I'm a Pisces.
Hey.
When's your birthday?
March the 18th.
He's a 20th.
So, you know, I came into the relationship.
Man.
Y'all are emotional.
Oh Indeed.
Right along with
I'm about to
me.
say, who's more emotional than a Cancer?
No, yeah, but that's why I always say, before I try to cut you off, Antonio,
you go.
I always say with me and TJ, because we're both water signs. So I'm like, when water flows together, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, but then when water flows against each other, it's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a tsunami. It's a typhoon, whatever you want to call it. So that's what he and I are. When we with it,
and we're not emotional. We're straightforward.
Yeah.
you are emotional.
No, we're not
I
emotional.
can't be emotional.
We're straightforward.
But I'm very straightforward.
You're emotionally straightforward.
I can take that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm about to say you have to be emotional because this one here.
When I first met him, though, he would not talk. He would just shut down. And I'm just like you. I want to talk about it because I don't want to keep doing the same thing. And if you don't tell me, I'll keep doing the same thing, and you'll just keep ignoring me, and it's gonna be
a cycle.
Exactly.
Yeah, y'all are very passionate. Pisces. Very passionate Pisces.
Because we'll get in an argument. He's like, why are you yelling? I'm like, I'm not yelling.
Oh
Well, maybe
my
I am.
God, that's
Well, maybe I am,
him.
but I'm not trying to.
He's like, this is my voice. This is my voice. And I'm like,
I'm like, you
you're
don't
screaming.
need to yell
I'm
to
like,
have
you're
this
yelling.
conversation.
He's like,
we're not
I'm
yelling. We're just passionate.
Exactly. I'm just letting you know.
Wow.
You know?
Listen,
I'm
it
like,
just
if you're
comes
gonna
out
yell
that
at me,
way.
I'm not gonna speak to you. And I would sit there and be.
And I'm just like, ugh. But now, see, I can kind of get away a little bit because I'll be like, the baby is sleeping. And then.
See, but now it's like I rub it for him because I'm like, why are you yelling? I'm right here. Calm down.
But my thing is, when it comes to like arguments in a relationship, I think that it's a good thing to have like those conversations. Like, it's okay to have an argument. It doesn't become an issue until you keep having the same argument, I feel like. And so like for us, like once I got through my stubborn phase, I realized that, okay, you know, he doesn't like when I do this. We need to talk about it, have a compromise, and fix it, and know how to handle it next time. So now the next time, I won't leave the toilet seat up. I won't, you know what I'm saying, do X, Y, and Z. And I think once I realized, oh, okay, I heard what he said, I heard him out, we came to a compromise. Now the next time this situation happens, I know how he's going to react, so I know how to act accordingly to the situation, and it helps so much.
Yeah, that's something we could take a page from y'all book on, because I think a lot of times TJ and I, we kind of like the opposite. We don't argue about a lot, but we argue about the same thing a lot of the time, because
That's gonna be wrong.
see,
there you go.
this. You see what he did? Yeah, Pisces also throw a notorious shade.
Oh yeah.
So
it's a natural thing.
and then it's like
we both don't grow. You see, compromise.
yeah, but you threw your little in there first.
All right, and I'm cleaning it up.
Okay, I appreciate that. But
yeah, that's what happens when you're in love. You compromise.
yes, because the person you love the most be the person you be ready to kill sometimes.
Ooh, absolutely.
Ooh.
God.
God.
You spend so much time with that person.
Yeah, you.
And that person knows how to push your buttons, and they do it on purpose.
And I would say not even always on purpose. I just think that.
No, you do it on purpose.
Don't speak for me.
Right.
So I think sometimes yes, absolutely. We all have done. We're all guilty of that. But then also too, it's like I think sometimes it goes back to those peeve things, because like there's certain things that even as much as you love that person, they might do one thing that like it's just who they are, but it's still just like kind of like drives you up the wall a little bit. Like TJ bites his nails.
I do,
and I hate it, and so he can't stop, but I still hate it. You know what I mean? So like when I'll be like, don't bite your nails. I'll be like, stop. Like when he's driving, he doesn't even realize it, and like he's just and it's just those like it's those little things too, but at the same time, like what always comes back down to is like we've seen our fair share of like amazing times, we've had our dark times, and what I always kind of come back to is I think about like the scales. I'm like, is my life better with him or without him in it? And it's always been with him. So it's like, as long as that scale tips in that direction.
Oh, it's always going to be with me.
That's the same way I feel.
So.
You lose me, you done fucked up.
Yeah, you listen, y'all are so confident, but you know what? This is I'm amazing.
I didn't say that you weren't.
I know.
But I just know what I'm bringing to the table.
No one heard me say Dani's trash without me. I'm just saying, you lose me.
It's downhill from there.
You done fucked up.
Oh my gosh. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up this interview portion because we are like tiptoeing right at almost
2 hours.
2 hours.
But that's okay.
Yes.
Because they're giving us information.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break
take another break
for our sponsor.
Okay.
And then we're going to come back and it's time for the Lovers Quarrel.
No, we have more questions. And then we can get...
What? Oh, my bad.
Yeah, because I had some stuff in there. So we can get our sponsor real quick and then...
Finish up the interview and Lovers Quarrel be real quick.
All right. Hold on, y'all. It's the summer. It's time to get right. Time to get ready. And the only way you can do that is by hitting the gym. But when you hit the gym, you must have Gainz sports gear lock and load grips. Because you don't want callus on your hand. I know I don't. And the only way you can get it is by going to GainzSportsGear.com. That's Gainz with a Z. And when you use our code LOVERS10, you get 10% off. See, we're always giving back to our lovers. Mm-hmm. And now, back to the episode. And now we're back.
Yes.
So this is officially our longest episode ever.
Woo woo.
And it was well worth it.
Yes. Proud to be here.
It was well worth it, and we have 3 more questions, so that way whoever's listening, they know.
It's coming to an end soon. Don't tap out on us yet.
And then they can get to our favorite part, the quarrel. Yes.
So what would be something that you would want straight people to know about LGBTQI relationships? I feel like I'm saying like the whole alphabet every time. Or like what would they be like surprised to know?
One thing I would want them to know, is one, the lifestyle of LGBTQ isn't a choice. It's something that, we deal with daily. It's something that's within us. It's something that, it's kind of like trying to explain to somebody why you love chicken. Mm-hmm. You can't really explain why. When you have it, you like it. It's good. It tastes good, so on and so forth. And I think if they can get that part, they won't automatically look at us as so different in a sense. And just open your eyes, communicate with people around you. The more you know, the less ignorant you'll be. And, ignorance is what divides us in the first place.
Definitely. So. Right.
I agree. Everything you said.
Looks like
we are regular people like you guys, and we love the same way that you guys love.
Yep. Same ups and downs.
When you say ignorance, I know there's terms that people use, or what are what are ignorant terms, or what are terms that y'all don't like? Like,
what are like acceptable use?
Dani hates faggy or fag.
Well, anything other than gay, honestly.
Okay.
Because, faggot is not a nice word. Sissy, any of that isn't a positive, doesn't have a positive
connotation.
Exactly, so.
Yeah. And then, I say, what I teach my students is, when they throw around the word faggy, whatever, is, because I've had them try to combat me and be like, well, my uncle's gay and he says it. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, but I'm like, are you gay? And they're like, no. And then, you know, screwing up their face. I say, okay, well then you don't belong a part of that. You're not a part of that community. I'm like, so what you have to learn is like, when you're a part of certain communities, there are certain words that you can use within that community that other people who don't belong cannot use.
Absolutely, just like the N-word.
And I'm exactly, and I explained it to him because I literally had like 8 of my 8th graders sitting around me, and I explained to them, I'm like, if you're not gay, if you're not LGBTQ, I'm like, then you have no right or business saying fag or faggy. I said, because they might use that as a term of endearment between them, but that's for them to use. They're taking power away from that hurtful word. Same way how we might say, nigga, what up, my nigga, this and the other. And I'm like, but if a white boy came up to you and said that to you, I'm like, it'd be a whole other story. And they were like, yeah. And then I turned to my girls and I was like, and I'm like, how many, or to both my boys and my girls, I was like, how many of y'all been home and your mother been on the phone with her homegirl and be like, bitch, let me tell you. And then they were like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. I said, but that's because that's women. I'm like, she's a woman talking to another woman. I'm like, if a man called her a bitch, y'all would be upset, right?
Absolutely.
So that's always been the lesson I've tried to like impress upon my students about that. So do you find that like, so you say like any word outside of fag, like are y'all comfortable when it's used even by other gay people?
See, for me, it's about context.
Okay.
You know, and if used in the right context, you know, it's completely understandable, and, you know, I don't necessarily have an issue with it. You know, because if I'm with my gay friends and we'll say to each other, oh, look at that faggy walking down the street, you know, and we're not being malicious and so on and so forth. And I try to, you know, remember that too, that, you know, some people, they're not necessarily always trying to be malicious. I know this day and age, we're quick to pull the trigger, you know, when we hear terms or we hear people say certain things or use certain language and whatnot. Yeah, can it be offensive? Absolutely. But can we be a little too sensitive sometimes? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We can. But the big thing that I do, like with my students, is I give them context behind everything. And especially like if I hear a student use the word faggot, I give him the definition of it. And I let him know that faggot, what it actually is a bundle of sticks. And the reason why it got attached to gay people is because they would use those bundle of sticks to burn gay people's bodies back in the late 70s, 60s, when it was completely not acceptable to the way that it is in this day and age. And so when you kind of give people that knowledge based behind it, and they know that sometimes before they, you know, can spew the word out of their mouth, they think about that. It could be subconsciously or, you know, or not, but with that, you know, piece of knowledge, it can make a little difference too, though.
That's very smart.
I just see it a little different because when you say it depends on the context, in our community, but like if my brother who is not in my community came to me and said anything about a faggot, or I'm going to get offended by that because so there's no context, I feel like, for him to use that word.
Yeah. How about women? Because I think that's like
I think it's unaccepted too. I mean, because they feel like they can use it more because maybe they hang with us or gay people have more feminine qualities, but it still doesn't make it right. Yeah. That's like we don't have a word for straight people that we have and we call them like, you know, they have faggy, they have sissy. We don't have a word where we be like, oh, well, look at those straights over there, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's...
Yeah. And that's why I asked, because like I am personally someone who will never like use that word. I don't like that word because that's not my community. But I know that like women sometimes will feel like, oh, like you said, that's my homeboy, that's my whatever, or that's my homegirl. So like you're like adjacent to it, but it's just like you're still not a part of that community. Exactly. All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
And last question. And so you both are Black, male, and gay. And those are like really big intersections to kind of live at in your life, in this world. And so how do you think that that's impacted your, like, maybe your life in general, or impacted your like relationships? And that could be your romantic or like your relationships with people just in your life. Like, how do you kind of navigate the waters as being like Black, gay, and a man in America?
For me, I guess it's just trying to adapt to different environments, because me and him are different. I feel like people see me, they can automatically probably get the gist that I'm gay, and I open my mouth, I speak. You know, it's not the same. So it's just being aware of your surroundings, trying to adapt and not putting yourself in a situation where you feel like you can be put in harm's way, because we know you don't even have to be gay to be. I mean, the world is crazy, but so you just look out for yourself the best way you can and make sure you're not put in crazy situations.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. But it's hard because, like, each person, like I keep saying, like, each person's situation is always different. So what, each individual goes through would always be different from what the next person goes through. And I think the only way to close that gap is for us to keep having conversations like this, for people to keep, reaching out to people who they think are different. They'll realize that they're not, as different as, they may have thought in the first place. So, but it's tough, the 3 strikes, I always call it, black, gay, and you're a male in this society is tough, and trying to navigate and find your way. It's harder. You already have, 3 strikes against you, so to speak. Because even my friends ask me, or some of my straight friends ask me, like a icebreaker question, like, do you even want your kids to be gay? And it hurts for me to even say it, but being real with myself, I wouldn't. Because I know the obstacles that I had to deal with. I know the criticism, the hatred that goes behind it that people have for people who are gay for whatever reason that they might have. So I wouldn't even want my child to have to go through that. Would I love them and accept them? Of course I would. Yeah. But coming out, if it was a choice and I could choose a box for them that people think that it was that easy, of course I wouldn't choose the necessarily gay box. Yeah,
because any parent isn't gonna not want their child to have to deal with like the ugliness that that is out there in the world. So I totally understand that, because you for us it's just like we wouldn't care one way or the other, but at the same time, like, it goes back to that instinct as a parent. Like, it's just like, I don't want people out there messing with my baby, because then everybody gotta die. Like, you know what I mean? And like, so if I could prevent things like that from coming her way, then I would. But obviously we don't have control over that. So, the best that we can always do is just be that safe space, be that haven in a world that like maybe won't appreciate them for who they are because of things that they can't even help.
And some parents, they struggle with that, and I had to put myself in my mom's shoes of, maybe her expectations of who she thought the man was going to be that she was raising, in a sense, might not have been, what came, to tuition. But for the parents out there, in case you're listening and you may have a child that way, the best thing to do is support them. The worst thing you can do for them is to turn your back on them or not support them in any type of way. Like, they need that love, that support to get through a tough time that they're getting through. And society did that. There's nothing but society who caused that divide to say that we're less than a straight couple or a gay person is less than straight or so.
And I'm kind of glad you touched on that, because I was going to throw an audible. And with that, I was going to say, what words would y'all give to someone who's in the closet, or someone who's like knows someone who's in the closet? Like, what encouragement would you give them to feel comfortable coming out, or feel comfortable to speak to that person, to be like, listen, you're not alone, pretty much? Because again, a lot of people who are in the closet, it's the fear,
right? And
they don't know how people are going to treat them, how people are going to do it. So again, for me and Dani, it's a little bit easier because we have open minds, right. And not everybody has that. Some people will be like, no, and I kind of think about it as like, most people who are homophobic become less homophobic once they have to deal with it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Absolutely.
The ignorance factor is out the window.
When it's a child, or their child is gay, or a family member, their best friend, then it's like, damn,
it's close to home.
I have to change who I am, or just not fuck with this person. But I think for that, so I would like to, like, kind of, I guess, what words would y'all give someone who, like, they maybe listen to the podcast and be like, shit, I got a nephew, or I got a cousin, or,
So for the one who's in the closet, the saying, how the saying goes, the fear of the event is actually more fearful than the event itself. And that's literally, I think, the running theme for a lot of people. A lot of people who have a positive coming out story. Those who do have a positive coming out story, what you realize is, you could have done it sooner, and you probably should have done it sooner, and you missed that time of being yourself. Like, this life that we live is really short. I you know, because it feels like yesterday, me and TJ playing basketball, you know, in college together, and then I look and here it is, I'm 30 years old, and I don't even think I can keep going up and down the court the same way I did, you know, a few years ago. But, you know, with that being said, it's just tough. It's a tough one. It's just something that's always just been tough to talk about, you know, too. It's always just been tough to talk about because you're dealing with raw emotions, real feelings of depression that kids are going through every single day. I deal with kids who, you know, I'm out to my kids and whatnot. And so I have kids who came to me and told me, hey, Mr. Logan, I'm gay, or girls, I like girls, or boys, I like boys, and so on and so forth. And just trying to guide them the right way, and dealing with the parents who may be all into church and despise their kid from wanting to be gay or having a life that they wanted their kid to have that, you know, that goes against, and so on and so forth. But you just gotta love people. Just love people for who they are. Yeah. And it's crazy that most people who are against things that are for the LGBT community are straight people. And that always bothered me because I live of the life that if you're not taking $1 away from me, if you're not taking food off of my table, I don't give a fuck what you're doing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, long as you're not bringing no harm to this world and, you know, and whatnot.
There's way worse things you could be.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Yeah, you could be a murderer.
Exactly. Let's put more interest into, you know, what makes people become serial killers and so on and so forth than why people fall in love with who they fall in love with. I just think it's silly.
Exactly. I'm like, listen, everybody is somebody for everybody, and you know what they say, like, what you eat don't make me shit. Like,
yeah.
So do you, boo? Right. Like, and that's the thing. And like, and you, like, if you want to see people happy, so just let them be happy. Right. And like, the world is way more interesting with the diversity of race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, and like, otherwise we would be, you know, the butt end of the bread. And like, nobody wants that.
I sure don't. I throw them bitches out.
I mean, I eat it if it's left, but I'm just saying.
I'll go get a whole new loaf.
Like, oh, no.
That's the only thing that's left. I'm just not eating.
See, y'all ain't ever been that hungry before. Nah.
Right.
Brian, do you have anything you want to add on that last question?
The only message that I would have for anybody that's probably in the closet is that you are kind of forcing yourself to be alone. You have people that you can relate to, and once you get it off your chest, you will feel more complete. I promise you, because you have more people you can relate to, and you will get to know yourself more. Yeah, you can take it from somebody who learned that way.
It might surprise them how much support they actually do have, because it's just like, you know, you'd be like, yeah, okay, and so what we order and eat, like, you know.
Well, for me, before I came out, I didn't have anybody to talk to. But myself, and it was still like, to me, because you know, you hold stuff in and you don't have anybody else to express it to. This is like talking, like watching paint dry. Like, I'm just talking to myself. It's just thoughts, you know. Yeah. But when you have somebody else that can, relate and tell you their experiences, it just it makes a lot more.
Well, we thank you guys, because this has been a very interesting and enlightening conversation. We hope y'all liked it.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.
And now it's time to go to the
main
event of the show.
So don't
the showdown.
Don't be alarmed by what I'm about to do right now.
What are you about to do?
I'm taking it back. So 1, 2, 3 into the 4. Easy motherfucking E with the chrome to your dome. Cruising in my 6'4" rag top. I got a lot of juice, a lot of fucking block. Now when I hit that switch, I'm bouncing. More bounce to the ounce and I'm clowning. Keep the gat in my lap, cause I'm fully strapped for the carjackers. Fuck no hapsters, a packs attack 9 plus a AK-47. Send my way ticket to my hell or maybe heaven. Sleep, nigga, I don't sleep. Bury motherfuckers in the concrete.
Alright. What the fuck does that have to do?
So listen, there's not a lot of lyrics out there.
Quarrel.
There's not a lot of lyrics about fighting, but that song makes me want to fight.
Okay, well,
so therefore,
she's getting ready.
I'm broadening my horizons, and I'm gonna just start doing lyrics and songs and sounds of things that make me want to hit people.
Sounds like karaoke to me, but that's dope.
You're a hater because I know all the words.
I just said that's dope.
You think it sounds like karaoke?
Yeah, is that not what karaoke is?
That's not a compliment.
Yes, it is.
I love karaoke, but it's not.
You love karaoke. I said it sounds like karaoke, and you tell me.
I feel like you're trying to say I don't got bars. That's all.
Well, you don't got bars.
Is this the Lovers Quarrel segment right
here? Yeah. Welcome to the Lovers Quarrel segment of the show, where we beef about things. But that's what y'all are gonna get. So if I am gonna sing something, say something, hum something that just get you riled up.
Okay, I feel riled up.
That song always makes me. I feel like I should be in Compton.
God damn it.
What? You know what? How you gonna cut me short, Mr. 2 hours and 8 minutes? All right. So the quarrel for the day, and again, Brian, Antonio, feel free to chime in, is something that he and I don't see at least eye to eye on, and that is coping with life or dealing with life in the era of Trump, right?
There's nothing you can do about it,
and that bothers me so much because there's not just nothing you can do. But we just had a primary. We just talked about somebody who did something about it. I
say that there's nothing that can be done about it, I'm saying in the sense that he is our president. So
no, he's not my president.
He is. When Tatum goes to school,
he doesn't even claim.
When Tatum goes to school, they're gonna say who was what number is he? 45?
Yes.
They're like, who was the 45th president? Donald Trump.
I don't know.
So at the end of the day, he is our president.
Yeah, but
and at the end of the day, we have to accept that he is our president. Y'all don't have to like it, but you have to accept that he is our president. I'm glad that he's our president, and I'm glad because
no, wait.
Let me finish. See,
clean that one up.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
I'm glad because it opens up the eyes. I've known a lot of people who when voting came, they was like, I'm gonna put Harambe, or I'm gonna put my own name as the president. They took the presidency.
Didn't Hennessy have like 300,000 votes or something like that?
I don't know. That's a mess.
They took the presidency as a joke.
That's true.
And then we got a joke of a president.
But I just don't like when, like, so what grinds my gears is when you're like, we just have to accept it. Like, don't get me wrong. I get when you say that, I accept
that he is our president. Now it's up to us
to do something
about it.
But
now it's up to us to vote. It's up to us to really take the policy serious. And you know what? We should have always been doing that.
Yeah, I don't accept him as my president, but I accept the fact that I got to do something to get him the hell up out of here in 2020.
So if somebody asks you, who's your president?
Barack Obama.
We're out of the country. Someone's just like, whatever, you're going to be like, Barack Obama's my president.
I'm going to say, if somebody asked me, I would say, well, the president, based on who's staying in the White House, might be Donald J. Trump. I said, but I do not reckon. I'm not totally in denial, but I do not recognize him. And I do not have to he literally said like this week, he was like, my people, the people that voted for me. He doesn't even try to proclaim himself to be president of everybody in these United States. He only bangs with the people who voted for him, which is why and the crazy thing is that he's such a sociopath, he's such a serial killer mentality that he's been campaigning for 2020 since he got elected in 2016, because that's why he keeps going to these rallies and stuff and getting reinvigorated by his base and reinvigorating them, or whatever you want to call it, because he's already in the mindset like, I'm going to run again in 2020, I want to win in 2020, and these people are eating this shit up. And so I don't.
If America chooses him again, then we have to live with it again, and then these people are fucking idiots. At the end of the day, you don't have to like Hillary Clinton. I didn't see anything negative with her, but whatever, people didn't like her. Mm-hmm. But if we're talking about presidencies, if we're talking about these high positions, it should go to whoever the best qualified is. This is the one time in life that who's more qualified should go into it. You know, in the workplace, the person who's most qualified don't always get a job. The person who knows everybody typically gets a job, right? And then they fuck it up, and then then you try
to hire the guy that should have had the job in the first place.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But the presidency, anything that has to do with the free world and like the shit that's going on right now is ridiculous. But again, I'm glad it's happening because people need to see that this is what y'all chose. Mm-hmm. This is what y'all allow to happen, and that's why I'm saying you have to accept it for what it is. You don't have to like it, but you have to accept the fact that America, a portion of America, chose this person. Right. A portion, like the racism, is there.
It's a blessing though. Like I'm kind of getting with my boy TJ here. It's a blessing in disguise that Donald J. Trump is actually president for one, the undercover races have now come to light, right? So we're going to move past racism. Don't we need to identify who's racist in the first place? Okay. We need to identify what areas of our country are the most racist to give them the resources that they need to be educated more so. Because I think a lot of racism has to do with education and being ignorant to the fact that blacks are different from whites in so many, you know, different ways when that's not even true in the first place. So with him becoming president, those racists have come to the forefront. They've come out. We know who supports him. Right. We know who supports him. So when you know what evil looks like, when you know what that devil looks like, you can prepare, you know, better in a way. And now we're woke. We go on this stay woke theme that we've been on for maybe like the last 5 or 10 years or so like that. But now the generation that needs to be woke, that millennial generation that people look down upon in some aspects with culture, and being a millennial is the perfect human being to be able to lead this country and keep going on.
Well, and that's why I like, and I'll say, like, I'm not trying to be so, like, I'm not putting my head in the sand. I'm just saying, it's like, I don't accept anything that he is, okay? I don't accept him as I don't accept him as a president because he's not qualified. He is not. And so, yes, he ended up in it because of the Electoral College, not even the popular vote, because he didn't win the popular vote. Nope. But, and then also, I don't accept him as a human being because he is a vile human being. And I have a problem with people who actively support him as a person or as a president. And so, like, that's the one place where he and I differ, because we're not going to get into it because that'll be another hour. But that's why we beefed about Kanye a bunch, because I'm like, I'm not here for Kanye. I'm like, because even
slavery was a choice.
Thank you. And then he tried to backpedal on that. And then wait. And then also the thing about it is, like, if it was just the politics, I could almost understand it. But with Donald Trump, it's on a human level. Exactly. He's a bad human being. He is. And so therefore, when I cope by I mean, and don't get me wrong, I have to sometimes, for my own self-care, my own sanity, I have to sometimes turn the TV off away, or change the channel from CNN or from MSNBC, because I can't keep taking this. It's like abuse almost. It's like, yo, they're shitting on Muslims. They're discriminating against LGBTQ. They're racist. They're
the
best
sexist. Thing about that is you need to be able to see that.
Waking up.
You need to be able to see that. Listen, everybody thought George Bush was a terrible president. And now you get Donald Trump. You get to see how bad this world truly is. Right. And I mean, we've been having it, but now everybody's kind of feeling it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There was people, I mean, cops was killing us and doing shit like that. That was always happening. Right. But now you get to see people feel comfortable, like Antonio said, being racist. Yep. You have Permit Patty calling what's the name
on the baby
for selling water
because she wanted to sell.
You know how many times somebody would have been arrested in Baltimore selling water?
But and then she sells to cannabis dispensaries, right?
And it's not even legal. But she does that
for dogs too. Maybe your dog could get some to chill out a little bit.
Ghosts definitely need some of that.
A little weed tree.
This is when social media comes out good. I think someone posted something and it was basically saying, like, she used that as a scare tactic. She didn't really call the cops, supposedly, but she used it as a scare tactic. And if I'm wrong, please, anyone can correct me. But that's crazy when you think about it. Like, I'm gonna say I'm calling the cops because I know that you're afraid of the cops. Mm-hmm, right. Yeah. Like, and that's the world that we live in. I mean, again, she's an 8-year-old girl selling water. She's being an entrepreneur. And she's talking about she said that she couldn't focus because of whatever.
Yeah, because she kept
close your fucking window and put the AC on. What the fuck? Yeah. You want AC?
Dogs in our building that bark. If we're in our bedroom, we don't hear them. So like, how do you really pay attention to somebody outside?
And that's what apartment living is. It's just like you deal when you out to live in an apartment.
Get your corn together and go get you a little detached house.
Exactly. Like you make those concessions for that. But
we needed that. So that's my thing. Me coping with it is going to be different than how you do it. Because my thing is, I want to see it. It needs to be so... We need to be able to see it because anytime anytime like racist stuff happen, we don't deal with it. We like so when Donald Sterling said whatever his racist thing is, what did they do? They got him out. So now that he's out, all the other racist owners know, oh shit, we can't say it.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been more like a suspension and then grievances and shit like that. Like listen, this is how they feel about us. And that's why, for me, the competitive side of me hate when basketball players join teams and all that. But the pro-black side of me says, fuck that. Do what you want. Everybody want to sign together. Right. Fuck the league. Fuck these white owners, because when they trade you, they're not asking you. They're not telling you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Thomas pretty much destroyed his career playing injured, and they traded his ass.
Yep.
And he probably won't get a max deal now because he's labeled as damaged goods. But he put it all on the line for his team. The will for his team. A team that was just like, all right, see you later.
I think ultimately it's like I cope by I stay informed, but then also I try to do things about it. So like I went and voted in the primaries. Definitely. I went and donated $15 to the I've donated to the ACLU. I've donated money to now the organization that's fighting for the refugees and immigrants down in Texas, because every little bit helps. And if I could spend $20 on takeout, I can spend $20 trying to help support that. And that's how I deal with it, because it's like, I can't do everything from where I am here, because I'm still responsible, have my own responsibilities and stuff like that. But we can agree to disagree, because it's just like, I'm not going to accept it. You're not going to hear me say like, I'm going to be like the president, but I'm not going to be like my president. That's where that's the middle ground you can find me on. And because he does not represent any of the ideals that I hold true. And he quite honestly doesn't uphold the ideals that America, quote unquote, was like founded upon about, democracy and freedom and things like that. Like he is all the slave owning and racism and you got to be a white landowner, all the negative stuff that this country was built on is what he's building up. And that's why he is in the position he is, because of all these people in flyover country that support him and that think the same way, because we all live on the coast, on the East Coast, and people on the West Coast. And so when we're on the coast, it's typically more liberal, more progressive. But then when you get in that middle, it's a lot of cornfields and homophobia and racism.
The only thing that's weird to me is the reaction we get from Donald, or the reaction we give to Donald Trump now that he's a president. Mm-hmm. Because, it was a time and a place where black people like Donald Trump.
He's the leader of the free world.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
When you're a reality TV star and they are now
I'm laughing at you, or I'm just like you over there, versus you the leader of the whole free world.
Me and you
are on the same page. Because I'm like, there's levels to this shit.
I agree with that. But there was, when he was reality star, there was stuff that people said he was racist, sexist, and nobody canceled him.
Right. He still had
it was okay. It was just like, this is just the gimmick.
I mean, because there's still people out here that are that, but they're still not the president. So once you have a title like that,
that's so much control. There's so much power.
The same thing is like the Kanye West situation. Like, can't you take Kanye West, the artist, and who he is from?
Did they do the same thing to Roseanne? When Roseanne said what they said, what happened to her?
But see, this is my thing. Like,
I'm not separate. There's certain things that you say. I'm sorry to cut you off, Antonio, but for me, it's
like Roseanne was always racist.
There's certain things that you say and do with no. I can't separate the art from the artist.
I can't accept that, because you're not telling me that if I was to say, Dani, I'm inviting you to my 80s party, and I want you to make the DJ list. All the disgusting things that we all know R. Kelly did, you ain't gonna put an R. Kelly track on that?
Oh, I'm not. He's
cut off.
I'm
not. She's, and you know what? As I'm getting older,
he's a pedophile.
I understand that, but we can't.
He's not even on Spotify no more.
But we can't.
He's still there.
No, but there's certain things like we
can't draw the line. We can't draw the line of
there's certain
supporting
songs,
him, and then
there's certain songs
being entertained by.
I would almost
I didn't like those songs anyway, like the bump and grind. I didn't give a fuck about that.
I would almost say that I would listen to a Kanye song before before I listened to R. Kelly song, only because Kanye's a fucking idiot, but he's not a criminal.
Exactly.
R. Kelly's a criminal. He was having sex with underage girls,
right?
And so so I can almost stand for the if you're looking at the arguments here now with Kanye, I don't agree with him. I don't see it for him because of him aligning himself with Donald Trump. For him saying he did. He called him his brother.
He's trying to be positive.
He picked a side.
Fuck positivity. Trump ain't positive.
But
so how you aligning yourself with evil?
Entertainers have already been in line with Donald Trump, though. A lot of these artists and celebrities have already been in line with Donald Trump. It's just now that he's a celebrity.
For years, a lot of our black celebrities have been in line with Donald Trump.
There were songs called, like, what's the name? Had the song called Up, like, was it Ray Shrimmer? Mm-hmm. So they had a song called Donald Trump or whatever. But that's because he was a caricature. He was of wealth and of like greed and stuff like that. So he was like just a figure of something that was what people laughed at or whatever, and that's what, and you know what, and not to say he wasn't doing foul stuff before that, because he absolutely was, and he was racist and sexist and misogynist and an assaulter before this, but now you add all of that, and now he's got the nuclear codes. Mm-hmm. That's a fucking problem.
Yeah, and it's crazy though, because at the beginning of the exposure of who Donald Trump really was, I was for it at the beginning. On the surface level, when we first found out, oh, he's running for president, before we found out anything that we found out, I thought that, okay, we have someone who isn't all about politics. That could have been a plus. We had two, someone who knows how to clearly make money. Granted, he came into this world already silver spoon in mouth, absolutely, with money, but the knowledge of making money was there, and it was very prevalent that he was so successful and has continued to build so much wealth for him and his family, to the point where Donald Trump's grandchildren probably wouldn't have to work another day in their life if they didn't want to. So that aspect that I knew that he brought to a country who's in trillions of dollars of debt, and knowing how to bring jobs to this country, I was for. But then, of course, the asshole that he is, you can't be for. And
there's a lot of that was a facade too, that money making stuff, because he filed for bankruptcy a lot. He don't be paying people what he owed them.
But that was an insight that we had that he had that we didn't have.
So what Donald Trump does is
still ain't seen his taxes.
He knows how to play the system.
Exactly.
That's all. The stuff is there.
Right.
He just knows how to play it.
He knows what to count off as a write-off, what to sign.
He knows I can make this company go bankrupt.
Yep.
And then start a new company and
change the name.
I can put all these losses and still come up. I mean,
you know what that's called?
That's business.
White privilege.
I mean, 100%. But saying that to say,
we're gonna wrap this sucker up.
Saying that to say,
fuck Trump forever.
I mean, fuck Trump. I mean, but he is our president.
He
was voted in.
He's the president, right? Because granted, she can actually say he's not her president because she didn't vote for him. So her vote didn't go to who this set president is.
He's the United States president.
Okay.
Not
mine.
And
you know what you say when somebody asks you who's your president? I don't understand the question.
I like that. I
want that stuff.
No, you did not.
I mean,
we're gonna take this. We'll take it offline. But listen, y'all. We want to thank Brian and Antonio for joining us.
It was a true pleasure.
It was a true pleasure. You guys.
It was amazing.
And we learned a lot. We laughed a lot. We fussed a lot. And so it's a perfect episode of Lovers Quarrel.
You guys are great hosts.
Thank you. As always, find us on Instagram at Lovers Quarrel Show, Twitter
Lovers Quarrel 7.
You have any questions, any quarrels that you want us to fuss about, any comments?
You want to give us your elevator pitch?
Yes, you got a letter, whatever. Email us at loversquarrelshow@gmail.com. And I think that's about it, right?
That's everything.
Well, then this has been another episode of Lovers Quarrel. And as always, I'm your girl, Dani.
I'm your guy, TJ.
And you already know, we fuss.
And we fight.
But we love. Bye.
Later, y'all.